I'll say it again. I'll say it again. I'll say it again.
You don't understand what's going on here.
I'll say it again. I said it, I'll say it again. I said it, I'll say it again. I said it before, I said it before, I said it before, I said it before, I said it before.
You don't understand. You don't understand what's going on. You don't understand.
I'll say it again. I'll say it again. I'll say it again.
You don't understand.
I'll say it again.
You don't understand.
I'll say it again. I'll say it again. I said it.
You don't understand here.
I thump like a boonga butterfly. Thump like a boonga. Thump.
It's so easy.
Thump like a boonga. Thump like.
You got it.
I thump like a.
Somebody got it.
Like I thump like a.
It's so easy. Somebody got it.
Thump like a bot. Like a bot. Thump like a bot. Thump like a bot. Like a bot. I thump like a bot.
You don't understand.
I thump like a bot. I said it.
You don't understand what's going on here. You don't understand.
I'll say it again.
You don't understand.
I'll say it again.
You don't understand what's going on.
I
I fixed the transitions, guys. Just see? Look, it's beans, and they're blue. We have blue beans. Hey, baby. Nice blue beans. Hi, I'm Slappy Meats. And you've come here, to this channel, to engage with the World of Doors in this Drums of the Empire D&D campaign. I, the aforementioned Slappy Meats, am also playing Saldov, the Dampier rogue. And all around, charming fellow, certainly here to butter up the negotiations. Joining me, over here, is Lolo Man.
Hello, I'm Lolo. I'm your favorite mushroom, playing the one who leads the druid cleric.
And let us not forget, expert, born, literally, diplomat. Continuing clockwise.
Which I'm looking forward to demonstrate.
Continuing clockwise, we have Salnica.
Hello, I'm Me. I'm playing Half Paladin, sworn to the roads and the light, and with more than a little touch of the fame. It's the most chaotic paladin you'll ever meet.
Onward. We are joined by Moonlight Kitsune.
Greetings all, I am Yozora, the Warlock.
A studious one at that. And onward still, we have our precious Bunny Boy, Bunny B.
I am forever your Tabaxi Ranger, Wither. And right now he's enjoying his noodles right now.
Kitty nudes. Catboy nudes. Speaking of kitties, we have a lovely good boy, winged kitty, with a little doobop on his head. The Moogle in charge. The HMMF. I see.
That's accurate. That's
Yeah.
accurate.
The one and only Iron Mog, our beneficent DM, who will just coat us, glaze us with hot, sticky lore this session, surely.
Oh, absolutely. Hail, travelers. We got a thick lore load for you tonight. We're going to coat the face, neck, and chest of each one of you. Don't worry about it. But yeah, welcome to session 12. Look at that.
Okay, I got it right.
I'm
I got it
sorry, I
right,
got
good.
distracted for a minute there.
That's fine. It happens. Yeah, so last time our heroes, they defeated a bunch of bandits, they rescued some citizens who had been taken prisoner by them, and they got a little taste, perhaps, of the kind of local fare, and they started talking about each other as if they were property. And no one really kind of batted an eye at that. So we'll maybe see a little bit what's going on there, how that factors into everything, what's up with that. But we made it to the village of Bonaktu. We met some of the other villagers. The individuals that they had rescued were turned off to go about and return to their lives and their livelihoods, including the proprietor of the local noodle house, where Dove and Wither managed to pop off for a minute, get a nice, just wonderful bowl of ramen made fresh that day. It's got, fresh, thin sliced meat in there. It's to die for. This is some of the literal top ramen you've ever had.
Yes. Taking my time with it. Not too much time, but spending enough time to savor it and really enjoy the handiwork.
Slurping every once in a while.
The slurping, yeah. Just stop every once in a while, just look over.
Oh, don't mind me.
I've got plans for that.
Oh my.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Oh, wow.
Put your name on it too, Yozora, if you
Jeez.
want it.
I did not expect this coming from you, Zora.
No. Yeah. Wow. No, man. Just getting right in Seldov's mind there. Holy shit. Oh no. Oh, please. Don't mind me. Slurp away. Good kitty.
I think Zelda is starting to corrupt The entire party?
That is typically how it happens. And you know what?
I think they might have misunderstood the plans.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, bummer. Just bummer.
Fine.
But anyway, you'd also along the way managed to take a couple of prisoners. Our good friend Pell, that we have got to meet a little bit, got to know just a little bit better. Seems to be okay with biting. So I guess, you know, what a homie.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that essentially collectively as a group you'd all done after a couple of you popped off to get some noodles, the rest of you had made it to this large kind of town hall, this like council chamber where like the town can get together and discuss and vote on things. And you've met with the elder, the mayor, the magistrate, whatever the local leader you want to call him. You've met with Mr. Tor here, who has brought out with him after some discussion with the dancer that you'd come back with Lane. Has come back with a bunch of like maps and some different like books and some other kind of like loose collected notes, and he's spread them out across these two desks we've got here, these two tables sat next to each other, and he's going over them. And we're gonna get to that here real shortly. We're gonna move over to again the world map. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna find out each and every place where everything is, where everybody's from, what's been going on in this world, what the situation is today. And from there, what we're going to get towards the end of the session, I expect, is we're going to shape how the next chapter is going to start to go. How we're going to follow, you know, now that we're here, what's next? We're going to find out what's next and make some plans from that, for that afterwards.
All right. Can I do one little thing? I don't. Wither doesn't feel very comfortable with Aiden being around all these books and all this parchment. Can he be off with the rest of the with
like Boan?
Bohan, yes.
Done. Aiden's off with Boan. He was never here. I don't know what you guys thought.
Boan and our other pets.
And your other pets. Oh,
yes. No. Very well put.
I'm sure Bohan appreciates the company.
Yeah.
But Aiden did his noodles and stuff too. He had his own little bowl.
Oh.
He's got his own bowl of noodles. Oh, that's great. He's just chilling out with Boa now. Just having some noodles and just chilling with the cow. As one does. Alright, so, this world map is unlabeled, as you saw last time. I will provide a copy of the map that is also unlabeled, but if you want to add labels to it, if you want to, you know, do whatever, edit it, whatever you want to do with the copy of the map, when I toss it your way, by all means, have fun. But other than that, this is going to remain kind of this very clean, what looks like the way it's supposed to look to all of you, where it's this map that has like the lines of the different countries and the different like environmentals, I guess. Like you can see where there's like obvious labeling for like deserts, swamps, etc., etc. But no cities, no countries, none of that. It's just the land. And like I said, I will also then provide you guys a copy of the map, and you guys can do whatever you want with it. Go crazy.
Cool.
I might actually have fun with that.
Yay.
So, if you have any questions for Mr. Tor, this will be, by all means, the time to go ahead and ask them. Otherwise, we can just hop over to the map. We can start getting into it.
Probably about.
We can do the map because I want to have a full conversation with the elders. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're looking to start hashing this out. Let's make some deals. Let's diplomatize this bitch. All for it, absolutely. So yeah, we'll wait for that. Then we'll get to the map, and we'll just kick it.
Probably about like 10, 15 minutes into whatever conversation the party's having with the diplomats of our party are having with Mr. Tor, is when Dove comes in with his cooling half bowl of ramen.
into the conversation, yeah, you and Wither will show up with your bowls of noodles and just hey, what's going on, guys? What's up? How's it going?
Wrap
Just
the
a-
bowl in a
oh.
piece of leather just to keep the stuff from spilling.
Wither's just still
Put it in my
going
pouch for
at
now.
it because it's something he hasn't had in a long time. He kind of just had to have it. He's not saving any of it for right now. He's gonna get another bowl before he leaves town easily.
Oh yeah, it's the good shit. Alright, so. Reminder that the X button is the finger. Because by all means, if you have questions while we're looking at the map, feel free to ask, and you can point out where you're like, what is this over here, or where is this, or what, and all that. So yeah, reminder, X should default your cursor.
So if I remember correctly, we are here. This is the ruins we came in, and this is the redstone bitches.
This here is the
Down there.
headquarters of the Crimson Lords? Crimson Lord?
One who leans was correct. This is the village you find yourself in currently. These are the ruins that you all arrived in over here. And the Crimson Lord and his banditry have a seat of power here, near this pass here between these mountains, and they claim the territory that goes from about this pass here to the coast, and then down to about these foothills, going back over to the mountains.
Alright.
Is what they claim as their territory. Now, there is no actual territory here. This is as a... You know what? Fuck, we'll just get to it.
The free territories.
Exactly.
It's for real estate.
The lordless lands, despite the Crimson Lord's claim.
So, Magistrate Tor will lay out this map, turn it around so it's facing all of you, so you're looking at it as it is orientated at the moment. And he will kind of gesture towards it and then ask simply, would you prefer to start with the history, or do you want to know the current geography and political climate?
May as well go in order.
This one would learn the history of this world to better interpret its geopolitical climate.
As
Yeah,
one
I
said.
want the history. I want to learn.
Exactly.
Absolutely. He will nod at that. And kind of again,
kind of slurps at it. And it just nods.
Goes
that.
whether it goes wall-eyed, just
yeah. So he will nod and gesture again towards the map. And he will gesture towards the northwest section around here.
Northeast?
Oh yeah, northeast, sorry. I don't know the direction, it's fine. I don't know flank. I flung flank.
ah, God, God, I love that movie.
It's so good. But it will gesture towards that corner of the map. Up here.
The northwest section.
Yeah. And it will begin. Yome today is going to be very different from the Yome it once was. The Yome of our histories. Even more so, it's radically altered than the Yome it was over 1,000 years ago or so. About this millennia or so, the land was not divided. And he gestures towards like the different borders you can see. It was not carved up. It was just open land. Everywhere was as the free territories are. Just land. The different tribes, the different species, the different races that made up Yome moved around, nomadic tribes, every once in a while. Warfare, trade, negotiation, migration, immigration would take place. It was as common and as simple and as flowing as the rivers themselves. Then, about a millennia ago, something happened. A young man arrived in Yome
The Fire Nation
from
attacked.
across the great oceans, supposedly. He came with an entire army of refugees, soldiers, those who had fled or resisted or otherwise left their homes from before. And they arrived here with a mind for conquest. The first place they came was this place here, and he will tap his finger on this large section of land.
Tap his purple finger all over it.
Yeah, he'll get his purple finger all over. They first arrived here and quickly carved out a place of their own throughout the middle section. They came to know this and call it, and it is known today as the Gate of the Coming Dawn.
Somebody please be writing this down. I don't want to.
Working on it.
Okay.
Because they were only able to take a section of it. As you can see, the western side has mountains that kind of naturally form a border, and then there's the marsh in the eastern and southern section that also forms a natural border. So it was this middle section that they carved out that became this gate. But through time, they did eventually take the whole of it. But that was not the end of their conquest. Soon after, they launched great ships, warships and transport ships, the likes of which the disparate tribes of Yome had never before seen. And they landed here, in this country. He taps this long country, this kind of like this central section here, and then goes out to the coast. This became the heart of a brand new empire, eventually, and is known today as Kaitan Itos. This is a name you guys should have already heard.
It's where our tender, gentle poet is from.
Yeah.
Oh, Batten Katos. I love that game.
I remember that game. I think. It was on Xbox.
And in case you need that written down, or I guess spelled out, there's that.
I appreciate that. Give me 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. No.
I had all of it except the C. I had a K.
Yeah, I would have definitely gone K too.
So this large, centralized country is known as Kaitan Itos.
Kind of looks like a heart too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is Old Elvish, in fact, for central pillar or core.
Okay. What do I speak again? Dwarvish.
They took the lands that
Infernal.
would eventually become known as Kaitan Itos. They carved
Where's my boy?
up to the mountains
See my boy.
and to the deserts in the south.
Oh, that's cool.
They had this here as well, though it was loosely controlled at the moment, and would not truly fall under their rule for some time. But it was here they built a massive fortress citadel out of the original inhabitants, a group of strange magical constructs. They held this central area where you see what is now known as the Forbidden City, and he gestures towards the large symbol of like the city there in the middle of the map. This is an area that was held by a group of magical constructs. They held the area under strict domination and required both servitude and tribute from the different tribes and species of Yome. This area was being held for what the constructs referred to were the Shadow Lords, insisting that one day the Shadow would come and would claim all of Yome for itself.
Oh. Oh.
Well, that's
Dove folds his arms.
interesting information.
And you said that that Forbidden City was
Yeah, it's the big one there.
Okay.
Yep, this is the fortress they built around the area that the constructs were originally holding, that is now known as the Forbidden City. No one is allowed in or out as far as anybody in the far west knows.
So these constructs, they simply allowed this wall to be built around them?
No, they were defeated to the very last.
I see. Was anything learned of these Shadow Lords?
If there was, it was held in strict confidence by this warlord that had begun to rise up and his generals. The rest of us have never heard further on anything to deal with these constructs or the Shadow Lords themselves. And it's, as I said, been near 1,000 years.
1,000 years, you say?
And these
He will nod.
and these warlords still live, like their descendants and everything, still live in this area.
Magistrate Tor will smile at you and kind of hold up a hand. We will get to that. Do not worry. This warlord who would come to conquer Catenatus would then turn outward with aspirations to conquer all of Yome and bring it under his rule.
Do we know the name of this warlord?
He will slowly shake his head.
No.
The name has itself been lost to history. Purposefully or accidentally, I could not say.
How curious. Most conquerors want nothing more than to be known through the ages.
You know, to say that, Zora's narrowing their eyes like something's not right here.
Well, there's a wonderful mystery for you to unravel, my dear Yasura.
Magistrate Tor will nod as he agrees. This is strange and not exactly anything he can possibly explain. It is unknown, as I said, whether or not this was purposeful or accidental, but the actual name has been lost to the histories. What is known is what he did. He brought most of Yome under his banner. Gesturing a little bit further west, where you see the long border that designates where the free territories start. That is the furthest west he ever made in his conquest. The free territories resisted, which is how they came to be known as they are today.
Was this expansion... Did this take place in the span of a human lifetime?
The conquest up to where it ended did take place during his lifetime. He held the territories under his rule for as long as he possibly could, and he did live a long and, as far as anyone knows, exemplary life. He was a fair ruler, perhaps harsh a bit and demanding of his subjects, but fair. He saw to equality and equal trade and the importance of commerce and the reason it must be regulated and made to work for the people rather than for exploiting the people.
Indeed.
Well, there's
A good
something else that I
master.
can agree with.
A good master must sometimes bear the rod.
Just so.
This one understands that the free territories are today under claim. Would you tell it more about the claimants and their history?
How do you mean? The warlord's original claim trying to conquer everything? Or the different bandits across the area who claim hold over certain areas?
Good point. One. The Crimson Lord. A lofty title. Self-assigned, undoubtedly. Are there others like him in the free territories?
There are other warlords and bandit kings and mercenary captains that would call certain areas within the free territories theirs. For instance, further up north of where the Crimson Lord's territory is, there are a few dragonkin and dragonborn that claim that area as the dragon's original homeworld on Yomei.
I casted an eye over towards Wither and Yozora. Just, interesting.
Questions for later then. Gotta make that note.
Of all these local factions, which one would you say would be more open to negotiations?
Depending on the negotiations you're looking for or are interested in.
Whatever
I would
gets the job
say,
done.
for instance, the Crimson Lord is only interested in might, in what you can bring him, and in servitude to him. The dragons in the north, they might be more amenable to open negotiation, though unless you're willing to worship and serve Dragonkin yourself, they are likely not to be too receptive. In the center, however, around this lake, and you will point towards the lake, this is the Deep Purse Lake. Around there are the Coin Lords, who hold sway throughout the territories.
Oh, Mech is going to have a field day with them.
They have the major settlement, the great trade city of Bergreus, that is along the Coin Road.
I may have to follow Mech to that place as well.
This one sees potential in all three of those factions.
Further to the southeast, in the edge of these kind of deserts and these wastes, there is another group of lizard folk that simply run amok. Their only interest seems to be in chaos and in consuming. Along the coasts, there are different pirate kings, especially, and he points here to where you can see where the river meets the ocean. The great Eastern Port City. That is its name, by the way.
Port City? Just Eastern Port City?
Eastern Port City, yeah.
Eastern Port City.
Pirates.
Fucking pirates. Yep. Pirates are very imaginative, aren't they?
They are something, all right. But they are also more amenable, perhaps, to negotiation and trade than definitely the Crimson Lord would be. Though the northern pirates are cannibalistic, so good luck.
We may have something to talk about.
Metaphorically, I hope.
No.
Good answer. Just nope.
I missed the question because I was writing notes down. What was that?
Cannibals. Not
yeah,
metaphorical.
I got the cannibals. I missed what the filthy say.
Oh, I was simply asking if the cannibalism was metaphorical or not.
Ah, okay.
No.
Yep, not metaphorical.
These these Eastern Port pirates. What do you know of them?
They dabble in trade. They like to, every once in a while, sail around south and harass the other territories.
Do you know why?
Plundering what they can.
Plunder? For fun? For glory? For greatness of an empire?
For fun, mostly for glory, for loot, basically. It's their way of living.
Well, now we have something. Now we have something to talk about.
Yep, they operate out of here, and they will usually sail around south, back along here, and will anybody in the free territories along the way that is not part of their faction, they will also harass. But they will usually off the coast of the different countries in the south here. They will harass their navies, their shipments, and their coastal cities for what pirate things do.
Oh my god, this is perfect. There's the infrastructure here to make an actual country, and I'm gonna do it.
Excuse me. I got your back, homie.
You're gonna watch me and praise.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Aha, mushroom is growing fast.
Got Dom energy happening here.
Stop it.
Interest?
Alright. On more serious notes, yeah, definitely it is. This looks so promising. I love it.
The other territories, if we might go back to history for a moment.
Absolutely. Though it actually ties into the histories as well. The warlord, as I said, managed to conquer and claim most of Yome. The free territories were all that remained, even the different isles. And he will, point to this one. Obviously, this one you already knew about, and then he'll point to this one. Also fell under their sway and their control. The only one that didn't was also out here past the free territories. Though this is a different matter, as this now itself is known as the Dragon Isle. All current dragonkin of actual dragon-like stature. And he looks at both Yozora and Wither, and he will gesture again towards Ellen. Live here. Us being in the further north of the free territories, occasionally do see dragons, and occasionally are harassed by them. Though they're not malicious, it seems, and do not go out of their way. But, and he again gestures towards Yozora, you have noticed, I'm sure, the phrase dragon marked and the way some people look at you. There is history there, which we will get to later.
I would appreciate that. More knowledge. Glancing at Shibisu's case, I'd like to know more about my friend here.
Our initial reception from your lovely guard captain, I suppose we shall call her, was palpably mixed. None more so than our good friend Yuzora here.
He will slowly nod at that, as if it's not surprising to him in the least, almost as if he expected it.
I may have a few questions of my own in that vein. What's your thought?
It kind of explains why we found them where they were. Since we are so close to where they are.
I just hope that if they are notable amongst their kin, that we are not blamed for what happened to them.
Well, I'm sure if you've already fomented a wonderful relationship with your little friend there, surely he can vouch for you.
If you mean I groveled and apologized, yes.
Regardless, as I said, we'll get to that momentarily, but the rest of Yome came under this warlord's banner at one point or another.
Was there, pardon the interruption, was there great resistance in this expansion? Or was it the offering of joining an empire that led them to become dependent, shall we say?
In some areas, it was welcome. After all, they had destroyed the constructs, and as far as anybody understood, released us from the Shadow's imminent yoke. For others, independence held strong, and they did resist.
And these constructs, were they hostile to everybody?
That is a good question. I was wondering if they stayed in this settlement or if they expanded and sought conquest of their own.
That they required tributes from, and I believe, order from the inhabitants of Yome.
Right.
Service and servitude.
Did these constructs go out and seek it? Or allow it to come to them?
They would if it were necessary.
I see. So they were scourges of the land.
Were they at times forcefully taken?
Oh, Wither. And you'll pet
Yes.
Wither. Oh, sweetie. Naturally.
It had to be asked.
If they could not find voluntary help, these constructs would go out into the different villages and the different tribes and would bring back those who would do whatever they needed. If they needed something built, something repaired, they would find a way to have it done. And in doing so, of course, began a need for more resources to support the He kind of makes a face and kind of frowns. For lack of a better term, a way to take care of the slaves that they had. The term slave seems to be very distasteful to him. Like, he makes it very, like, just like saying the word felt gross.
Still,
This
will
falls
remember
within
this.
common humanoid behavior.
If I'm not mistaken, the ways of this land is that might makes right, yes?
In certain ways, yes. It's and he just kind of looks down at the map. We will get there. Eventually, the warlord would pass on. Old age, time, none can escape it. However, he had left behind no heir. Instead, had a collection of generals from the different races and the different populi that he had come across, that he forced by rule of magic, even in his death, that they were to separate the empire and rule it as one, and would always be under the yoke of the Forbidden City. And so it was, so it has been ever since. Those original generals are long since gone. They do still hold to their original peoples and their original settlements, and they now, he gestures at the different countries around where you can see all the different borders. Now they each hold their own territory. Notice, each of them have rights to the ocean. Notice also that each of them touches Chitin Ethos. This was on purpose, so that they would each be equal, but still subservient. The campaign to conquer the free territories was halted, put on permanent temporary hiatus, supposedly. And the free territories have ever since remained free. There, of course, have ever once in a while been campaigns to take new territory, though they very, very rarely go anywhere. And the central Caetanetos, though it has fallen to shadow and memory and long since been moved behind obscurity, it still holds sway everywhere. The Emperor, whatever it is, wherever it is, however it may exist, still rules from the Forbidden City. This warlord became an emperor eventually, somehow still sends out edicts, whether done in his name or through some twisted dark magic, has allowed him to escape the grip of death itself. None know.
So this nameless conqueror, it is suggested that it is still he.
Supposedly.
They who sits within the city.
That is the rumor. That is the story.
Even though they're generals that planted the seeds of each of these territories,
correct,
are themselves long gone.
They saw to making sure the territories were split up and governable by themselves, in case, supposedly, anything happened to the Forbidden City. Edicts still come out in the Emperor's name. His rule still holds over all Yomei, though each of the different territories does, at this point, govern themselves as an individual sovereign state.
The federal and state levels. Yes.
Hey, see, you get it.
Now, these generals, did they choose the lands that they were given?
They were given lands based on their ancestral makeup, who had traditionally settled there. For instance, closest to us are these two, and he will point to the two countries that are closest to the free territories. This one here, in the north, is some deep mountain valleys, high mountain peaks. It is a fairly hard to grow land, so they do a lot of trade as far as lumber or rock for food. And it is known as Ekina. This is the home of the Arachni.
Ah, yes, our friend from
Oh.
that
Scooter people.
Oh,
that
good.
was so
Gregarious.
Gregarious is a good way to put that, yeah.
I love them.
So this is the nation of Ekina, where the Arachni can be found.
I'm fond of spider boys as well.
Why is it always above table? Why is it always spiders? Okay, back in character.
Even when it's a bunny boy, it's still spiders.
Yeah, fair.
My bunny boy in Storm Riders is full of interplanar spiders.
But yeah, back in character. Wither goes and says, "We have met one of them, I believe, and he is amongst friends right now."
Oh, have you? Indeed. Wherever you are from, it seems at least you are somewhat familiar with our people. It is good to know.
Marginally. Nominally at best. We are
To that
from
point.
a long way away. Sorry.
Yes, exactly, Seldov. To that point. There is a lot this one wishes to discuss with you. Not least of which, the reason of our presence here, and our provenance.
And I do believe that we shall have that talk, whether with all of you or just you and I, as soon as we can. This area here, that is more foothills and wide open flat plains. This is Monagra.
Only one gra. Tragic.
This is the land of the Kinra and the Okami.
Oh.
They still move about in largely nomadic tribes, moving around the plains and through the foothills. They have one large settlement on the edge of this lake that you see here.
Seeing that, because I was like, I wonder if they have to deal with this Crimson Lord as well.
Same thought, in fact. The banditry, the power hungry, do they find their way into the territories, seeking more claim?
As you might imagine, bandits are as bandits are, and they do perform raids into neighboring territories. Both Ekina and Monagra have seen some of their ire, I suppose. The city here, their major settlement, the one they have really, though there are small towns throughout, of course. And they do have the occasional port city where they occasionally get raided by the pirates. Is Connie, which I put in chat there earlier for you.
I was making sure that was what that was before I added it to my notes.
Yep.
If you would happen to have the map that you can maybe like drop in Discord or something, I might put it in Photoshop and start scribbling notes on it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Unfortunately, I don't have Photoshop, so I'll have to use you. I'll have to trust you guys to on that.
I mean, I don't have Photoshop, but I'll probably try and do something in one form or another, some way.
That's why I've been making my notes, that at least I can tell where things are on the map-ish. I've got a lot of notes already.
This is kind of my first note taking, other than just from sheer memory. Kind of.
But the answer is yes. I will throw that map in the artwork channel.
Sweet.
I'll probably go back in the VOD and kind of recap it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a link to that VOD too, just so that I can, make notes on my own time. Woo.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Something for the off week.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so there's the map. Moving on, beyond Monagra, there is this land here. And he kind of taps his finger on it, and he points to what is very obviously swamps and marshes in the south, with a little bit like more of the plains and even some like tiny foothills in the more north as you get closer to CAPMonth.
Oh shit! No, terms of the fire folder.
Got it.
Sorry, where was that? I was saving that.
So this here is the next one he's talking about. There's like some marshes, some thick, what looks to be actually jungle in the center, before you get to like swamps and marshes in the south. This is known as Griblis.
Does that strike me as a dwarvish tongue?
It does not sound dwarvish.
Okay.
This is where you will find Grung, the Gith, and rumor has it, humanoids that can shift their forms. Similar to werebears, werewolves, and such. Lycanthropes, if you will. This is the DM's way of saying the shifter race.
Yeah.
The Gith?
You had me at shift.
Both factions of Gith are there, correct, as are the Grung.
Oh, that can't be good.
Both that, yeah, right.
There is, in fact, a tenuous peace between the two factions of Gith on this world, instilled by the original Emperor.
Interesting.
They're not happy about it, but one of them has decided that the swamps are okay, and the other has decided that the fucking plains are okay, and this jungle keeps us separate.
Alrighty.
The Gith,
Interesting.
The Gith is Zerai in the plains, should I imagine?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yep.
Read
And
it.
the Gith Yankee down here, and the
Swamp Gith
Swamps.
Yankees, that's good.
integrate.
Because they look like bats anyways.
Exactly.
Fucking, yeah, like, I imagine them having, like, bayou accents, like Louisiana dirty.
See, and this is, okay, I can tell you're both also, like, Dungeon Masters because you guys got it. That is exactly it.
Hell yes.
This is gonna be just too much. Above the table. Can already sense it.
I'm just looking at my notes and like, oh, this is gonna be a fun figuring out how the hell we're gonna figure this out.
To revisit a prior question, despite being nomadic and not prone to organizing, despite one major settlement, the tribes within Monagra, shall I presume that they have a formidable enough military presence to discourage these Crimson Lords from entering their territories?
To discourage, perhaps. Not necessarily to stop, because even bandits will, in times of desperation, and just because how bandits are, will still make those forays into the territory. But yes, the Okami and the Kinra are in fact the heart and soul of the original army that was the warlords' forces. This is, for lack of a better term, where they grew their soldiers.
I see.
The Okami and Kinra are both powerful, take easily to militaristic hierarchy, and are skilled with weapons in ways that some of us have yet to even fathom.
You had to bring the Kenra in, didn't you? You know my first character was a Kenra.
This is, in fact, one of the few worlds that has them, yeah.
So it would take desperation for them to make any attempts into Managra.
Most likely. Though they could have been preying on smaller tribes or trade caravans moving about. That's also possible. There's no way they would have gone anywhere near Kani.
That was what I wanted to know.
That would almost assuredly be suicide on their part.
Good. Good.
I am suspecting the Okami might not be too keen on removing these Crimson Lords easily. The Crimson Lord being seated where they are makes for a good blockade to anything else undesirable in the freeland that the Okami might not wish to deal with. Better the devil we know.
Who kind of nod? Yes, exactly.
Isn't that part of why we are here, though? To work on that? Or at least to help with that?
Well,
Incorrect.
the perspective.
To find out what they want, at least.
Now, going back to Managra again, I know we're trying to move along. And this is what they're talking, by the way, not above table.
By all means, by all means.
Has that nation, so to speak, tried to press any further into the free territories?
Indeed. They have tried in the past to take this area, any kind of gestures like where there's slightly more like wastelands, the desert was, up to like these, just kind of like this. They've tried to take that more than a couple of times, but the free territories always resist. The lizard folk in that area are very driven.
So maybe that's so. Is it maybe a little too forward to say that territory, that the lizard folk are prone to chaos, for the sense of, let's see, what would the best word be?
Perhaps feral?
To prevent being overridden, I guess?
They do seem to revel in it. It's almost as if they welcome the challenge when it arrives.
Maybe almost a sense of honor, even?
Or simply a primal pleasure in battle.
He will shrug as he's not sure either way, but they have proven to be quite formidable in resisting conquest.
Home field advantage.
Chirp. Chirp.
From what you say, these lizard folk seem to be the least likely to be open to negotiations.
I would put them very low on the list, absolutely.
But we can't discount them either.
Oh, finding whatever motivates them. We may have.
Please do
it could be
proceed.
a force to be unleashed.
Well, moving further east, in the north here,
Then.
next to where Akina is, you have the nation of Bamula. This is... He kind of stops for a moment to think. Have you ever seen a kobold?
I do believe I have.
This one has knowledge of them, but has never seen one.
I have read several books about them.
On occasion.
Very well. This is the area that is held mostly by the kobolds, and a very close cousin of theirs, the rat folk. It is a lot of harsh mountain territory with deep, lush forests in the very south, and then caves and floodplains go into the north. So you got kobolds and rat folk here. So yeah, you got spiders and then rats.
Just making sure. Are we working with WoW kobolds or D&D kobolds?
D&D kobolds. These are very specifically dragon descended kind of kobold.
Gotcha.
The rat folk are probably closer to the Warcraft kobolds, where they're more rat people, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you said they were cousins, so I was curious.
Yeah, yeah, very distant cousins, and that they're very similar in both mannerisms and appearance. Though one is furry and one is more skinny.
Got it.
To the east of Bamula, there's this. There's this country. A country of the hardy earth folk. This is Ronok. This is where you will find dwarves, gnomes, the halflings. Ronok also holds territory here, the mountainside, next to the gate of the coming dawn. So Ronok technically is this and the western half of this.
Oh, that's gonna make governing really fun.
It does make it interesting, yes. As you might imagine, some of their greater exports are any sort of metalwork, alloys, even raw ore, stonework, masonry, and food, as there are lush, fertile plains in the south, bordering on Kaitanetos.
And with them holding two different territories, does it show a different class between the two spots?
A good question, actually. Nice, I like that question. That was cool. Yes, actually, they are held largely by two different families. Dwarves make up the ruling group within both territories, and have the two different families. On the Isle, it is the Flint Eye. And here, in these mountains, it is the Stonemason. These are the two dwarf families that essentially run Ronok.
What about this southern territory?
This one down here?
The plains of Ronak, I believe.
Yeah.
Ah, we will get there. We'll start here and continue east along this way. This here, with its high peaks and its low plains and the foothills, is the country of Wethari.
I got it. I was actually going completely wrong.
Just a quick reminder, what was the country that's bordering? The one with the, Grung? Is that Gribless?
This one? Yeah, Gribless.
Okay, sorry. Trying to make my own notes here and keep everything so I can keep where everything is when I'm
No,
writing later.
by all means, by all means. But Wethari, this is the home of those that rule from the air. Aarakocra, Alkin, even the Siren, and in the lowlands and the plains, the Kenku.
There's crow boys.
Oops.
I wanna go play with the crow boys.
So yeah, basically anything that has wings that flies, or, well, unfortunately the case of the Kenku, had wings and does not fly anymore. But anything that's bird-like or that flies is here in Wafari.
Yeah, I can already picture it. Like, it looks like 1,000 peaks.
Yes, 100%. That's why you see like the 3 different peaks. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Good. Hmm. My map. Our location.
It's gonna be a pain in the ass to navigate if you don't have wings.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Next.
That's why they've got like the northern section. If you're going here, this is where you're gonna head for the most part. And then if they like you, you will be welcome to their different eyries up here in the mountains.
Their nests.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next to
Now,
Wafari.
yeah, this one I'm really interested in because it's got a big old river and seems like perfect portland.
The forests, grasslands, and even the isles here belong to the realm known as Listrian.
Wither's ears kind of perk up at that area. It's just like, just because it sounds like home for him.
This is a land dominated mostly by, and he looks at Philomene at this point, by the more fey-leaning folk. Centaur can be found in the grasslands, the Furbolg in the forests, the Leonin tabaxi, even the Minotaur can be found here. Anything more fey-leaning can be found there in Listrian.
And here goes one of my instances.
Well, Gazora's gonna perk up at that.
So, a lot of sexy beastmen, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Minotaurs with big hands. What? Yes.
Wither just kind of peeks, looks over, and returns the favor of patting the sail dove on the head.
Someone is in the mood to take the bull by the horn.
You were saying? You see, you see Zelda blush a little bit at being pet on the head. Like he's like, stop.
Magistrate Tor just kind of curls a brow and quickly goes back to the map.
He's trying to act like he doesn't like it.
Too hard. That's what I've been doing.
North of that, there's this territory here. More harsh deserts, more of the rocky that you might expect rather than the sands, perhaps. Yeah, I think more like American Southwest, like Arizona, New Mexico kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Right next to the grasslands. That's sad.
Yep, the river cuts it off. Like they got a little bit of lush, little area here that doesn't suck. That's, you know, nice kind of flat grassy plains. The rest of it is kind of harsh desert.
I like the description. That's the part that doesn't suck.
Yeah, the rest of this is, you know, where people go to, you know, not have a good time. This is the country of Dinfenic. Here you can find any of the goblinoids of Yome. Your bugbears, your goblins, your hobgoblins and such. They move about in different tribes, nomadic, similar to the Okami and Kinra, but also nothing like them at all.
Greener.
Yeah, true. North of that is the truly hell-blasted landscape of Yome. Whether this was always this way, or the result of some ancient magic gone awry. This is the area known as Hingatha. Hingatha, where you may find some of the more hardy and stalwart and the demonic of Yome's citizens. The tieflings call this home. The coastlines are controlled by the tritons, and the high peaks are where you may find the Goliath.
Tieflings.
You will nod at that. Yeah, if you're a tiefling, you're usually from over here.
Well, it was Tieflings, Goliaths, and what now?
And the tritons. Merfolk, only they don't have flippers.
Just making sure, like I said, names and keeping track of this.
No, absolutely. Fishy humans, basically.
That was this one?
What's up?
That was this space?
What are you fingering? What's up?
Here.
Hingatha.
Hingatha.
You're speaking, but we can't hear you.
Hingatha?
No, this was Dinfanic. Hingatha is the one above it.
Okay.
Silly question, because I should have already asked this, but for Listerien and Hingatha, and actually Dinphonic, is there anything for the languages? Because I believe that would be Sylvan, Goblin, and Infernal.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are the major languages in the regions. Absolutely.
I was just wondering if there was a translation, like what would the names mean?
Indeed.
Oh, what the names actually mean. Oh, okay.
Like specifically here, it's like I understand all three of those languages. I think I got Dwarvish in here somewhere.
It's
a couple others.
It's somewhat crappy and totally crappy.
Not wrong.
Okay, I don't have Dwarvish, but I've got Infernal and Elvish and Goblin. And Sylvian, of course.
So, Listerien here is roughly translated Long River, with the context to it being that it is a magical river. And then Dinfanic here is the burned family.
That has implications I'm not particularly fond of.
Please tell me the river is not called Yorinoco.
It is not, no. And then Hingatha is gateway. Specifically, again, in the context where, like, Listerien is a long magical river, this is a gateway towards hell.
Yes. I do speak Infernal, so I get that subtext.
Yeah, exactly.
It's why I'm bringing it up. Because I want this as well.
North of Hingatha, this area, where you can see this large mesa in the center, is Nisana. This is the land of the Ganassi.
Oh.
And of the elements themselves.
Yeah, I like Ganassi too.
I bet you love the hot ones.
And the wet ones.
Ayo.
The hot ones, the wet ones, the hard ones, and the ones that blow.
Yeah, there you go.
North of Nisana. One of the territories that I mentioned earlier had somewhat fallen under the yoke of the warlord early, but had shown some resistance. This is Eldamanthos. For anyone who speaks Ancient Elvish, which no one in the party actually does.
But does General Elvish count?
General Elvish gets you kind of the sense of it, but he will explain that Eldamanthos, supposedly translated, means home of man.
Okay. Whether kind of someone understands that, because he does have Elvish in him. Elvish. He knows Elvish language at least.
And Eldamanthos is where you will find humanoids of the more human-leaning variety, so a lot of your half will be here, and your elves will be here. And finally, the last of the territories. Oh, and Eldamanthos also rules over the southeastern section.
1 second then.
So the center section, this is the Gate of the Coming Dawn, is under the sway of Chitin Etos. The east is under Runuk, and the south is under Eldamanthos.
And does it have the same kind of feel as Runuk?
It does not.
Two separate classes.
No. It is much different. There's a bunch of smaller houses. Eldamanthos is ruled by a bunch of noble houses, and they are just split. Some live here, some live here, and whoever's wherever basically runs that chunk of territory, and they all kind of together collectively have a governorship of the full territory that they all kind of report to, who then, of course, further reports to Chitin Etos and the Emperor.
Ah, I see. And you had, sorry, I just figured I'd double check on that just to make sure.
No, absolutely, by all means.
I'll have a question about Rannoch in a little once we get through all of this.
And then finally, the last of the territories. This isle here. It is known as Draken Orthos, or Eye of the Dragon. It is here you will find most Dragonborn, Lizard Folk, Yuan-Ti, Turtle, or Naga.
Then you realize that Naga and Lamia are just half-baked Yuan-Ti.
Basically, right?
Okay. I think that's everything. What about this little island there?
That's
That
the
is the
island of the
dragon.
dragon.
Yeah, the Dragon
Okay.
Isle.
There you go.
And
This one.
that was what I was just about to ask.
That is under the sway of Akina. Split, as you can see, and he kind of gestures, where there's this natural forest in the center. The natural forests and the mountains to the west are Akina. The rest belong to Bamula.
Okay.
I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but is there a story behind those? Why they're up there? Why some people are up there as opposed to the mainland for those countries?
The Arachni originally came from the forests of that island. Supposedly, at least so far as their mythology and their origins are to be believed, they came from there to Akina and have held territorial claim on it ever since. They did, however, give the northeastern section over to the rat folk in order for it to be properly farmed. After all, Akina has very little farmland, so it was mutually beneficial.
I see.
And it appears the dragons in this world are 14th century European.
Yeah, they are European and not Eastern.
Okay. I like the little illustration.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Which was the land of the Arakaka? This one?
Wafari down here.
That one. Mouse. Fucking mouse. My pen tablet's not cooperating with Foundry. Wafari. Okay.
Now, going back to Ranuk, the two factions, the Flint Eye and the Stonemasons, do they rather butt heads regularly? Or are they very peaceful to each other?
They are at current very peaceful to each other, but they also have an ocean between them that is purposeful.
Purposeful how?
Gotta keep the peace somehow if they eat each other.
It makes war a more expensive endeavor.
That too.
You will nod at that.
So, in other words, you wouldn't want to call a Flint Eye a Stonemason and a Stonemason a Flint Eye.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Got it.
This one thanks you for all this precious information about your world's past and its geography.
Of course. Of course, since the time of the great generals where they split up the lands and the territories were named and founded and made, there have been, on occasion, conflicts that have broken out. Borderlines have moved on occasion here and there. But two things have always remained true. They have always been granted access to the oceans. And you will nod specifically like Akina, and over here to Hingatha, where they have very small coastlines. Those are not accidentally small. As you can see, Dinfanic opened up its borders a little bit more in both directions at one point.
Tiefling's always getting the short end.
True. Though this was largely curtailed by the generals who established that commerce, economy, trade would be the rule of law and the way that culture would be defined upon Yome. After all, warfare, destruction, death, all it does is cost lives, which then means there's less money to go around, less money to be made. Preserving life, avoiding conflict, is preferable. Which is why, on Yome, every life has worth, and it is known what it is worth. This is why, and he kind of gestures towards like a window, this is why the individuals you took are known as your property, because they have actual coin value. Lives can be traded, including bought and sold across countries in order to settle and form treaties. So they are your property because That is how a life is measured on Yome.
How is the value of a life defined? Does it follow market forces?
Indeed, it does. And he kind of nods at your economic knowledge.
This one understands.
And in your
Whether-
experience, in, I suppose I would say, cultural expectation, when one is bought and sold, how does that reflect upon their attitudes? Does one expect, does one revel in being purchased at high value?
Knowing that your life is worth a large amount does bring some comfort, yes. But being bought and sold perhaps is not the desirable way to exist.
Well, that depends. But that can be explored.
Sexual proclivities aside, it doesn't appear to be preferable.
Oh, come now. If you can. Some things are not merely sexual. I have, in my time, known some who have been aimless, lost, have not had a sense of purpose until they were owned. It can grant some comfort in general to know that they have a place in this world, or any.
The point of life having a monetary value is not that we are meant to be bought and sold. We are not, after all, livestock. But it is to give you something to trade against. A value that you can always bank on. You will always be worth this. You can always, of course, put yourself at risk. If you default, then they will own you and will likely sell you for a high value if they can. But it does offer up, in some cases, economic freedom. You are able to barter on your own worth. You can start over, begin a new life in a new territory.
An interesting application of mortgage.
You will nod at that.
Much like I guess you'd say, kind of putting your services to a value, so to speak.
In a way, yes, absolutely.
What would be the cultural standard for how someone is utilized once purchased?
Usually it is as servants. A housemaid, a butler, someone to work the lands, perhaps, if you are a landowner and you have farmland that you want tilled. If you have a ranch that you want manned, you may buy people and put them to work in such a way.
The expected utilization. Labor.
Or even,
Exactly.
Or even maybe a mercenary.
That comes to mind, yes. Would one, once purchased, be expected to lay down one's life for
How
their owner?
does the market assign a worth to somebody? So, how would it assign a worth to, say, Dove over there as opposed to myself?
This would be offer and demand. Life being worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it.
In a way, yes. The market does fluctuate, of course. And he gestures between Yozora and Dove. And this may hurt to hear. But, unfortunately, the elderly do typically go for less. A young, stalwart, healthy individual, and he will gesture towards Dove, would likely fetch a higher price at market than you would, sir. Nothing, of course, against you, your capabilities. It is simply the measure of how long one might expect to get use out of another, and what a young body is capable of doing and capable of overcoming, versus a more seasoned one.
Is Duff actually the younger one?
That's a good question.
You're looking, I would expect.
Now, does notoriety play a part in value as well?
Absolutely can. If you are a known individual, for whatever reason, perhaps a mercenary captain, a famous or well-liked shopkeep, or, for instance, if you are a proprietor of a noodle house, and you are one that everyone knows, you may go for a higher price.
Now, in such a circumstance, as you are known, you are renowned, perhaps for your own fortunes, could someone with a more vast amount of wealth simply purchase you wholesale?
No. The purchase must either be as part of a default on your part, or a very brutal conquest, perhaps.
Indeed.
Simply walking up and buying someone is not exactly something that happens. If you do intend to take somebody against their will and sell them, it is usually because you are the stronger, and your might has made it right.
So it's more might versus right versus being contracted.
Debt.
You will nod at that.
So either physical brutality or financial brutality.
In either case, enforcement usually would be militaristic.
And he nods at that. It is one of the few things that the armies within Caton Atos make sure they enforce.
And some sort of breach of this property declaration would be brought before representatives from Caton Atos, perhaps?
Most likely, there would be a local magistrate or governing authority that would have the ability to rule and judge upon such proceedings.
So if my little pets were to run away, that would be on me for not keeping tight enough leashes on them, I trust. But if somebody were to steal them from me, that might be brought before these magistrates. Or attempt to steal them from you.
As they took it by might, but if they were to run away, escape, and renounce their debt, that is something that someone might go out and hunt them down for.
So it's the other way.
In fact, bounty hunting is a fairly lucrative profession on Yome.
I see.
So, question. Wither kind of perks up at the thought of bounty hunting. Are there any of note in this area for being bounty hunting? Or am I getting too far ahead of myself?
Do you mean a bounty hunter or a bounty to hunt?
The latter.
To my knowledge, there are no outstanding warrants or hunt marks within the area. However, we have heard rumor that further north and in the southwest, there may be hunt marks that are trying to lay low.
Whether you would see this you would see these objects. You would see this property returned to their owners.
Depending on the situation, I would rather hear what's going on with it. If it is not rightly done, if they were
This one would
do
not
something-
recommend this as an official representative of the City of Doors.
Just curious that you seem to take quite some umbrage to the idea of being property. Speaking of which, Mr. Tor,
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice some distaste on your lips as you mentioned slavery.
He will nod at that.
What is the difference to you?
Slavery is taking without need, which is what the Crimson Lord would have been doing, obviously, with our individuals, taking them to then sell at whatever market. It doesn't need the labor. These were not individuals who had defaulted on any debts. And they hadn't exactly been conquered. They'd simply been taken. After all, the village still stands and is still intact. And these were not combatants. And he kind of pauses and tilts his head, though perhaps you could make an argument for it in the case of Lays.
Indeed. There seems to be some careful definition of what is valid and what is not when it comes to ownership of a life.
That is correct.
I'll keep that in mind.
And to embellish onto what you asked me, Saildov, if somebody is contracted to do something and fails to do it, or just tends to ignore it and not complete it, and thus has a bounty on their head, that is a completely different story.
A cat of integrity, I see.
Yes. But if it's as our dear friend here, our new dear friend here says, slavery, that is a completely different thing.
Oh, yes.
And he
vastly different.
He has a bit of his eyes kind of turn a little fiery red at the word as he says the word slavery.
Yes. Worlds of difference between the two.
Does that help with my explanation on my interest in bounties?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. You may continue if you'd like.
Yozora's over here just scribbling everything down.
Starting a fire on the vellum.
Not quite. I'm not using thaumaturgy, not thaumaturgy, my prestidigitation to keep the paper cold, cooler.
There you go. A classic Bay Librarian trick.
Are there any more questions for the Elder?
Yes, actually. This Emperor, this Conqueror, this this Nobunaga of Yome.
But Tish.
They arrived with their army of refugees. From where? Across the vast ocean. It was said?
It is said they came from across the great oceans, yes.
This map. Is this all of known Yome?
It is. As far as anyone here is aware, this is the known world. Anything beyond it has not been mapped or discovered.
Knowledge of another continent might only be available to the Emperor and following.
Another continent, yes.
I have my own suspicions on that.
Another continent.
Or other types of provenance, as we are aware,
Indeed.
might be the case.
I should be interested in this great gate that is spoken of on the Isle. The Gate of the Dawn, was it?
The Gate of the Coming Dawn, yes.
Coming Dawn.
Now, there is one last part that perhaps should be divulged as well. The prophecy.
Oh.
Moving my notes.
When the Emperor died and the territories were split up, supposedly there was an elven archmage in the court who gave a prophecy of a return of the great Emperor one day, and he would take up the mantle and lead Yomei through the Gate of the Coming Dawn to face the shadow when it arrived.
Well, now, that is an interesting prophecy.
That has some interesting thoughts.
DM.
In 1,000 years, there have been some who claim to be the Emperor Reborn, but none have actually ever been proven to be so.
DM.
Yeah, what's up?
Where did we arrive?
The ruins west of the village.
Right.
Yeah,
God damn it.
around that area.
Okay, it was this, right. And we emerged from a gate structure.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny to note that the prophecy doesn't mention the Emperor will come there through the same gate he originally came from.
He said he will lead a great army through the Gate of the Coming Dawn.
I believe
Yes.
it's implied that he might be reborn amongst the people. Maybe.
Yeah, but where he will come from again is not defined, and that's the interesting part. Among others.
I hit push to talk to shrug.
I appreciate that.
It's important for us to hear the emote.
Let's not be fast to assume.
I'm not incredibly worried about prophecies right now.
I'm more
This
worried
one-
about. I'm more worried about our immediate mission. Prophecies will be taken into account, but they are not our primary concern.
It will be worth considering, as prophecies, folklore, legends can be very well utilized to sway hearts and minds.
And prophecies do sometimes have a habit of coming true.
They certainly do when you make them.
To the point raised of our current mission, this one would like to expose to the Elder our intentions and possible negotiations.
Of course.
It was
Oh.
lovely.
And I mentioned it earlier, said we would get to it, and we will now.
Mhm.
Your draconic influence, dragon marked, as I believe you may have heard others call you. This is a significant mark to have. As I said, to the north on the Free Territories was supposedly the original home of dragonkind upon Yomei, but now they live upon the Dragon Isle, having been cast out by the warlord and his generals. It is also said that the warlord and his generals were, in fact, dragon marked themselves. So the dragon mark state is seen as An individual who is going to likely cause problems for others around them, who will shift reality and fate as they need it to shift.
Conquerors themselves.
Usually conquerors, or at least influential ones, who will change and upset the status quo. And the dragons, after being cast out, are not exactly friendly to Yomei anymore. And so anyone dragon marked is seen as being against Yomei, in a sense, if you follow.
Against the status quo, at least.
And he nods.
It would be lying to say our presence here would not cause significant changes. However, there is no reason to believe those changes cannot be mutually beneficial.
I would certainly hope so. But I wanted you to know and understand why the term dragon marked and why it is of such note that you have companions of the draconic heritage.
This one will keep it in mind.
As will I.
It certainly explains the welcome I kind of received from some.
And he will again nod at that, giving you a very sympathetic look.
Well, we may well be birds of hill men, but it has yet to be seen if we'll be the cause or simply the warming of it.
Or something unrelated altogether. This one thanks you again for all this information, and
of course,
will not share in turn.
He will gesture towards the map. Are there any other questions? Anything else you wish to know that I may divulge? What I know, I will share, happily. After all, you have done us a great service and returned some of our neighbors to us. For that, we will forever be grateful.
Dozar's going to look up from their notes and look at this keep right here. He's like, what is that there?
That is known as a radiant citadel.
Turns back to, oh, there you go.
It is the only one that exists within Yomei, but supposedly there are others, though we have never seen them.
It is devoted to what exactly?
It is supposedly dedicated to righteousness and justice and the light made by righteous individuals who wish to protect Yomei. It existed before the warlord arrived and has since, long ago, fallen to ruin and disrepair.
Remnants of a previous era from the city of Dawn, do you think?
Figures.
I do have one more now. The ruins where we came from. Sorry, I've only got two hands and I've got just avoided borking. Here, is there any more than just the small dilapidated things we came through, or is there like a fortress or anything? Or does it just all fall to ruin?
The ruins to the west that you've seen are that way throughout the entire area. They are long gone ancient ruins that have fallen to disrepair in states of barely being usable in some places. Anything that is intact enough to still be a building typically sees use by bandits, thieves, or desperate individuals.
Do we know anything about these ruins, so to speak? Just to the west of us?
We do not, unfortunately.
Perhaps archaeologists could be able to discover more information about them.
I would hope so. Though no archaeological expeditions have ever been funded to explore them or catalog them in any manner. The Free Territories is simply not set up for it.
Something to be remedied.
Kind of shrug, but nod.
Is there, just out of curiosity, if it's possible, any way to get to the Dragon Isle?
Of course. You could always get there by ship, I suppose.
Not an immediate need, but definitely something to keep in mind.
One who leans.
Yes.
Do you wish to discuss our mission right away, or shall we have a bit of a
Yes.
huddle over it first?
This one will expose, at the very least, our intentions, but it will discuss with you all planning before pursuing further negotiations.
Fantastic.
To that point, Elder, which is not at all as much as you have provided us.
You keep making
But I
Zelda's
will
voice
now
too deep.
tell you.
I'm gonna thin it out a little bit.
This one will now tell you. We are from another world. Many different worlds, in fact. We represent an authority responsible for holding on to travel between said worlds. We wish to establish a presence here, most likely in proximity to the portal responsible for our revival in the ruins west of here that we just discussed. We would be interested in supplies and labor, both of which would be purchased at a fair price.
Whether, of course, that be monetary or through other agreed negotiations.
Yozora is looking at the maps, just calculating ideas, and it's like, I think I might have a way for us to reduce the monetary value.
Interesting proposition. The ruins to the west are, to my knowledge, not claimed by anyone specifically. You would perhaps need to contend with local bandits, thieves, and such that it use some of the ruins as a hiding place, but it shouldn't be too difficult, I suppose. Your biggest obstacle would be the Crimson Lord to the east. He considers that under his yoke, so he would probably take affront to you claiming it.
I'm fairly sure he has already taken affront with us.
So that's what I was thinking of. Since everything has a price in this land, reducing the price by removing a threat to multiple lands, if I'm not mistaken.
The elder will kind of look at you, and his eyebrows will rise up on his head a little bit. He seems intrigued by that. You would take on the Crimson Lord? Perhaps?
We would certainly have some nature of conversation.
It's like, maybe not by myself. I cannot speak for my entire group of acquaintances here.
Alright, folks, huddle.
I would not be so presumptuous to say, yes, we will go deal with this threat without consulting them first.
All right. We'll move back to the village map. If you guys need this world map again to ask any questions or anything you need, just let me know. But we'll move back, and you guys can do a little bit more character stuff.
Mr. Tor, if I may inquire as to the accommodations of your village, would you be able and willing to support a team, an envoy, beyond us, here while we pursue our mission.
He will kind of furrow his brow a little bit. How do you mean?
Do you have crash space?
Oh, by all means, yes, there is plenty of space. After all, there are a few farmsteads that are, at the moment, still completely devoid of anyone who's working them. They've been either abandoned or just built or otherwise in disuse.
Fabulous. That shall be something to consider as we consider our plans that we will return back to our benefactors.
Yes. Oh, before we do adjourn to discuss things, this one would conclude with the primary function of our mission. That is establishing relations with you, the village, and perhaps neighboring villages. We would not be able to provide a defensive pact at the moment, as it would be advantageous to remain neutral with other factions, and remain so until said relations would be able to be bettered, or they could not be prevented from degrading.
Would you perhaps be interested in a protectorate type relationship? We could offer you either monetary or our own labor and goods at a discount. Should you be willing to act in a mercenary force type action to protect our villages should they come under siege by at least bandits, perhaps?
This is what this ones mean by defensive pact. However, we could enter in a trade agreement, which would establish interests for our side in the region, interest that would be defended from raids and banditry.
We would, I would say, be very interested in such a pact. Opening up trade with more individuals would allow us to perhaps grow our own worth monetarily, open us up to new goods and new possibilities, as well as we could certainly, as you've seen, use the assistance in defending our lands.
Of course. And this one will be and remain available to negotiate the terms of such a trade agreement and amend them if necessary.
Of course. And if you are interested in establishing your own settlement, I suppose, the ruins to the west are a near perfect area to do so. It is in use by no one in particular. It is wide open, and it has vast possibility. Not to mention, you could likely repurpose some of this stone and brick and such in whatever purpose you might have.
The lands surrounding, are they fertile?
They are. As you see, we are near the river. The river itself does mean to the land being very fertile and perfect for farmland, as well as for fishing, should you be interested in that.
Good. I think it is possible we can have a very mutually beneficial relationship in the near future.
I look forward to it.
My colleagues and I shall certainly iron this out before we make any promises.
Of course, and...
This one would know.
Yes?
Go. Would you be able to provide connection with neighboring villages?
He will kind of smile.
Or even negotiate on their behalf?
He will kind of smile at that as he nods. That was in fact what I was getting to. I could send out word to other nearby villages that might be interested in such a mutually beneficial arrangement, as well as send out missives to some of the local governances, should you be interested in meeting with them as well. The nearby, of course, regions of Akina and Managra. Or if you have interest even further,
We would meet with as many as possible.
Yozora will speak up here. It's like, I think at the very least we should start with the locals. We don't want to stretch too far, too fast, and not have the ability to back up our words.
Certainly, but sow the seeds early.
Establishing conversation falls within our purview.
then I will do as you bid, and I will send word to the nearby governments and local authorities and the nearby villages that they perhaps might send representatives if you wish to open trade and negotiation with them.
Indeed.
Of
We
course.
start. Much appreciated. We start shallow and wide. See what ground is soft.
And perhaps I would not so much call you beings from another world, but visitors from far away who have come to open up trade, yes?
Works for me.
Sounds good enough.
Do you believe?
It's not exactly a lie.
Do you believe our alien provenance would discourage such relations if discovered?
Can I make an insight check to see if he truly believes that we are of alien provenance to begin with?
Go ahead and make your insight check. He'll go ahead and answer one who lean.
Or if it's just kind of like,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
kind
you're
of helping
from another
that
world,
picture.
I guess. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I like to believe I'm kind of helping with that picture.
I imagine.
He seems to at least accept that you believe you're from another world. Whether
Okay.
or not he believes you're actually from another world is a whole other matter.
So he may be humoring us.
He definitely agrees you're not from around here. But other than that, shrug.
And so he's taking our claims of having the, shall we say, authority to establish these negotiations is not being questioned.
Correct. He is accepting that wherever you're from, that you seem to at least believe, again, that you have the authority to negotiate on behalf of that. So he's willing to just kind of go along with it. Though he does believe, and he will answer one who lean, I do believe that it would be an easier ask to make if you were simply visitors from far away, rather than try to convince them you were some local warlord who wished to make the free territories into their own country, or something like that. If they believe you are perhaps from across the Great Sea, they may see it as an opportunity to learn more, and maybe even find more about the past and the Emperor himself.
So maintain our exoticism, but do not overwhelm them.
Exactly. A careful negotiation and maneuvering of who and what you may or may not really be.
But at the same time, that could work in an interesting way to where we could be considered part of prophecy almost, in a sense.
Exactly. These things can be used to our advantage. But I think in keeping with local legend and parlance, we would still maintain that we are from across the Great Sea, as the Emperor themselves was.
Exactly, just so. And you said you had a greater delegation as well?
Yes.
We are merely the front runners, the front guard, to make sure that everything was okay on this side.
Well, we have brought the muscle
We are
of diplomacy.
The proverbial head of the spear.
We do pack more specialists in our wake who would handle more particular issues.
I would be very interested in meeting with them as well, if you believe that would be possible.
Of course.
Happily.
Our presence here is mainly focused on facilitating this encounter.
Well, I simply wish I had greater authority to grant you that which it is you truly seem to seek. I do not get a sense from any of you that you are ill-intended, and you have already done much to curry favor. Whether you turn out to be villains in the end or not is, I suppose, up to each of you, but I do appreciate all you've done for us, your candor for discussing with me, and your interest in mutually beneficial arrangements with our people.
Of course. We do our best to bring nothing but promising tidings.
Now, in the interest of facilitating this trade agreement we discussed, this one would know if what your currency consists of, as ours is mostly comprised of precious metals.
For context, Yozora will reach into their pouch and pull out a gold coin.
Ah, coin. That will make it quite easy. We tend to deal in the same.
Good. Hopefully the minting won't be an issue.
Perfect.
And gold coin back in pouch.
I don't believe the minting will have an issue as long as the gold is pure.
Precious stones as well.
Indeed.
Fabulous.
Gemstones and the like.
What's this worth?
Perfect.
Oh, good.
The new settlement's needs will most likely mostly comprise of food, building supplies, and other such materials.
And most likely labor.
Labor as well. We would not capture labor as is common in this world. However,
Not from your village, at least.
hiring would be a likely possibility. Labor in exchange for coin.
Then I would say some of your best bets to fetch any of that would be to reach out to Rannoch, see what they might be able to supply as far as stone and metal for your building and such. Monagra, again, could see about their farming and their trade and, again, labor from there, most likely.
Thankfully, the ruins should provide more than enough to get started.
Ah, good point indeed. As well, I would perhaps seek out Bergeris there along the coin road. And he again taps towards where the central main city for the Free Territories is.
Okay. Travel between the territories. Does one often find that to be impeded at the borders?
It is at least checked at the borders, but even moving back and forth from the Free Territories to the Empire is not out of the question or unheard of.
Would that present issues with us being from distant lands?
At that, he kind of pauses for a moment, as he hadn't thought of that. Perhaps, though we could supposedly draft up paperwork to make it seem as if you are from around here and are able to travel freely, rather than be an unknown entity, perhaps?
At the very
This
least,
one perceives a flaw in that plan.
At the very
Looks at
least,
himself.
some kind of visa, not to claim that we are from here.
Yes. That is more what I was suggesting, is like a temporary visiting license of some sort. Something that shows that you have put down roots.
Touched base, at least.
Kind of smirks over at one who leans. You have put down some sort of roots or have interests in the area. You consider it partly yours. Would at least go a little bit ways to making it easier for it to travel about. especially if you are to make your own territory as you seem to be interested, that actually could work in your favor. Would show that, again, you are willing to lay claim to lands, you are serious about what you're up to.
I'm watching Gethos. Is he just vibing? Is he like the stenographer in this encounter?
Yeah, he's been kind of like taking a few notes and writing down a few corrections and like just kind of taking notes on all of you as well.
Hmm. I shoot him a wink.
Okay.
Can I do an insight check on him as to are his thoughts on us?
He noticed your wink and he does not understand it, but he nods at you. And yes, you may insight check him. He seems to find you all fascinating. He's very well put. He's just kind of vibing. He's just hanging out. He's enjoying himself. He likes seeing new, different, wild, wonderful individuals and ideas and people.
Okay. Fair enough.
As for the terms of this trade agreement, this one could promise a guarantee of purchase of all goods for the first year of installment, provided a small taxation.
Oh,
this would
what?
kind of go. Don't want to go into too much detail.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of start establishing terms.
Now, you say exclusivity as far as purchasing? What do you mean? Do you mean we would be purchasing your...
No, like whatever they want to sell to us,
to mine,
we would just like the food and supplies that we would just purchase it. Like we would not like would fix a price. If you bring it, we pay this.
Okay.
Like,
So yeah, so no fluctuation on market value. Okay.
Yeah, and like it's like a guarantee of purchase.
Yeah.
Like if you start growing whatever food source,
yeah,
and then you get a big old harvest, we guarantee that we're gonna take the whole thing.
yeah. Say like they have a very bountiful year. It's a massive harvest. Like you still agreed that was ours, so it's yours. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So that they're not,
and
they're not.
In exchange for that, in exchange for the guarantee of purchase, I'm trying to negotiate a little bit more of a tax on it.
Okay.
Yeah, like actual video game RPG shop rules where it's like it doesn't matter what garbage you have, they'll take it. It's a terrible like markdown, but they'll take it. And so we don't. I trust that doesn't include that we only purchase from them, but that we will guaranteed purchase from them.
Yeah, that's kind of what he was trying to get at. Is if you were trying to go for an exclusive
Do you fucking mind?
Purchaser or not. So okay. We'll kind of nod slowly at that. That does seem amenable. I don't see a problem with that.
You gonna be a
You
pest?
know in advance what kind of farmland we were tilling, what we were planting, so you would, I suppose, even have some input and say into that for this.
How about a barley?
Barley.
I suppose that could be worked out.
And a rice.
Rice was already likely going to be on the list.
Fabulous.
This one is sure we will come to a mutually profitable arrangement, and it will remain available to negotiate further, as well as all other envoys that are on their way to this world.
Of course.
Ah!
And again,
shut the fuck up.
I just wish I had more authority to grant you greater clemency.
A foothold is all we need.
Ah!
And then we can start making
Jesus.
Excursions to politely speak to others on this land.
Indeed.
Fucking lines.
Do not sell yourself short. This one recognizes your authority in regards to this village.
He'll kind of like bow his head at that a little bit. It is appreciated, though my authority does honestly carry very little weight. It is appreciated. I just, again, wish I had more to offer.
Oh, don't worry. You know us. Your authority will grow soon enough.
That is ominous, I suppose.
But not incorrect.
They deadpan just look at this like we're trying not to intimidate them. Yes.
Speak for yourself. Oh, this is no intimidation. It is a promise. Your relationship with us will be very beneficial.
We do look forward to it. The village of Bannock 2 will always consider you friends.
Likewise.
Now then, are there any other particulars, any other regions that you would like to reach out to specifically, or any other asks you might have that would influence who I might send word to first and whom I might request, perhaps more than simply delegates, but also heads of industry?
Yes, actually. My specialities when it comes to commerce and trade involve two things: pleasure and drink. If I am not mistaken, on this world, if as on others, the dwarves, the halflings, are known for their appreciation of beverage. I should love to be in touch with brewmasters from Rannoch.
Absolutely. I will make sure to include that when I send missives to Rannoch to find masons and builders and anyone who could supply stone and alloys. I will also, in that vein, reach out towards Eldamanthos and Hingatha, as they are also known for exceptional wines and any kind of like gestures, just like the other stuff you may be into. But leaves it unsaid.
This one has noticed a significant amount of wilderness in the region. Perhaps it could be introduced to a druidic circle or natural protectors.
That could perhaps be arranged. We actually have a bit of a ritual site nearby, just north of town.
If I may ask, how is Hingatha's relationship with surrounding territories?
As well as any others, suppose. After all, the territories in the different regions do still find themselves beholden to each other and to the Empire, but they occasionally have strained relations.
I should love to be in touch with them, as I have had experience in the past with individuals who specialize in the entertaining arts.
Absolutely. In
Chiefly
fact,
persuasion.
yes, send word out to the consortium, see what they have, perhaps that they might send to discuss further with you.
I do hope we are not spreading your resources too thin.
Honestly, it's a welcome change from the ever existential worry of raid by bandits and the Crimson Lord, worry about the individuals who are taken, and then worry about the further stagnation and decline of the village as more and more individuals are taken.
So you have lost people more so than goods.
We have. It does seem to be the most lucrative of the different goods that the Crimson Lord is after, more often than not.
Well, I do believe you are due for a change in fortune.
This one will endeavor to officialize our trade agreement as soon as possible.
Of course. I look
The
forward to it.
Empire, the city of Dora will protect its assets.
Hmm.
I would hope so. And that does encourage me, at least a little. I look forward, as I said, to further negotiations and actually getting this all written out and explicit.
I would love, speaking of banditry, to know more about them. The Crimson Lords, specifically. They have taken so much from you. It's high time, perhaps, we steal from the rich, as it were. Give to the poor.
He kind of just nods solemnly at that. Go ahead.
And we are bound to clash with them anyway. We have already done so,
we?
and no doubt
Hmm.
they are going to wish to strike back at us. So we may as well get to know them as much as we can before the inevitable retaliation.
We also need to know what we have to protect our envoys from. We don't need to be caught with our proverbial pants around our ankles.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Their movements, their armament, their habits, their behaviors. Anything that we might know about the Crimson Lord themselves. Himself.
What I know about them is their actions within the local areas. They would come down following along the river, raiding any village they came across, or any holding or other bandits or thieves, whatever they came across. They would raid it, take whatever goods they found, continue on to about the west, past the ruins where you are, where they would then turn back, gather up again anything they can on the way back,
Mhm.
and return to their holdings in the mountains at the edge of the free territories.
So simply scrubbing along the river.
That is, for the most part, what I know of and where they've been.
And when they raid, what are their armaments? The same short swords, bows, daggers that we've seen so far?
As well
Simple
as
weaponry?
spears, halberds, better weapons, great swords, of course, great axes.
They were great swords,
Some of
yes.
their more powerful and potent of their military might is in the form of massive Goliath individuals who use very large, brutal weapons.
If they constantly come across out of the look down the river, that might put the envoys in danger sooner rather than later.
Valuable
The
information for them. Well, what about
The
the Crimson
current
Lord?
raids
Oh, sorry.
have settled into the ruins. We were expecting them to come back this direction at some point, and had been working on trying to fortify our defenses. But it seems you might have disrupted their current goings-ons.
And
We
offered you
have-
2 strong backs. If you would accept them as my gift to you, in good faith.
We have killed all in the ruins and captured the remaining.
Not quite all. I do remember one of them fleeing.
There
One
was one
did
escapee.
hobble away, yes.
Yes, so they may be. How far away from here is the Crimson Lord's Keep? By how many days?
A couple of days' travel, depending. One if you simply come straight down the river.
That might be. So it's still the same day since above table. This has still been the same day since we had that fight, right?
Yep.
Okay. Back under. So we have a couple of days at most. I would guess.
This should not be an issue. At least not for the time being.
If I had to give a very poor guess, any retaliation or answer to what you have done would not be due for at least a week.
They do have some wounds to lick.
Most certainly, we gave them a black eye at least. They will not just rush at us unless they are very suicidal.
Maybe even.
And any roused troops would be meeting with built fortifications. This one believes the Crimson Lords more capable than to just send poorly trained troops our way after a week.
Indeed, they would be sending a much greater, overwhelming force if the Crimson Lord deserves his title. He would know better than to trickle in his troops to be slaughtered.
Which is why this one believes we have some time.
My desire.
And it would negotiate with them anyway.
Magistrate Tor will kind of nod at that as he kind of agrees that you do have a little bit of time before there's anything that needs to absolutely be done about it.
Still something we should be wary of. While we may have some time, the last thing any of us need is, again, a proverbial knife in the back, because we're like, oh, we don't have to worry about this for this long.
Oh, dear Zora, do not worry. I'm always wary.
Well, no matter what we do, I do believe for tonight we should at least take the time to rest. You let me be good, but I have taken a few wounds in that battle just now.
I take my bowl out.
It is true.
You simply must try the noodles. They are to die for. And perhaps we may discuss things further over dinner.
I would not object to a good meal.
This one would have a meeting with all of you, in private if possible.
Fabulous.
We could possibly have it at the noodle shop if we.
My thinking exactly.
Magistrate Tor will bow to all of you. In that case, please feel free to make yourselves comfortable within our village. See to whatever it is you need to see to. Thank you again for all you've done and for your time. Should you have anything else you need to ask or want to discuss, I will be here.
Thank you very graciously.
This one thanks you humbly, Magistrate Tor. It would greatly appreciate furthering our talks at a later date.
Thank you for all the information. This will be most helpful in the future.
You will continue to nod and bow as you continue to thank him, repeating the same thanks back at you.
Take care, Magister. And I'll look to Gethos and just trail a finger along his pages that he's writing on. And if there's anything else you wish to know, feel free to come ask. Wink again and leave.
Gethos will just kind of nod slowly and write some notes.
Horny man keeps flirting with me.
Has he even realized you're flirting?
Fuck knows. Doesn't seem like. Does he?
He has not.
No. Okay.
As the last thing is like, just looking over, you know he was trying to proposition you for sex, right? And then walk right out.
Wait, what?
Attacked.
What? Magistrate will just laugh.
As we step out, what does the time of the day looks like?
It is getting into the late afternoon. It's probably, you would guess, anywhere like 3, 4 o'clock or so.
Oh, it's not so bad. I was expecting more. Evening.
Wonderful. I'll signal to I'll quickly signal to Zelda because Wither seems to be already too far gone.
Hmm?
I have a quick need for purchases at this village's general shop. I don't suppose you might accompany me so I don't lose myself on the way back to the noodle?
Sure.
I would appreciate the company anyway.
Certainly.
I want to meet with everyone.
DM, I assume the shop was around.
There.
Yep, this up here is the general shop.
Wonderful.
If I recall, Gethos runs the shop.
Gathos does not run the general shop, no.
Oh no. Okay, good.
Wither's not even paying attention. He's too focused on the. He didn't notice them talking about going to the shop, so, and he's already on his way to the noodle shop, wanting a second bowl of noodles.
Yeah, Kitty Zoom pass.
As you get up to the door, you see that there is a sign on it that says it is currently closed.
Yeah, I figured as much. I thought I saw the shop owner said it the other way.
Yep. One of the individuals you rescued, Pia, is the one that runs the shop.
It was Pia, right?
Well then.
Other windows.
Zelda, this one would meet with you as well.
Oh yes, we'll be with you shortly. Ah, sooner rather than later. It seems shopping will have to wait.
Yes, sadly, I'll have to wait until tomorrow to bandage my own wounds.
Well, hello, Mio. How are you doing, sir?
Welcome back, my friends. I hope you found the noodles delicious.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I take out the bowl that I covered with just a sheet of leather to make a little to-go bowl. Well, would you mind putting this over fire for me real quick? I would love to finish it, but would not do the disservice of eating it cold.
Oh, of course. If you have any left you need reheated, by all means, would you like it topped off?
Oh, certainly.
And the rest of you, did you have interest in food?
Did you happen to have a wash station that I could wash this empty bowl and get some more?
Well, we could take that for you. Actually, it's literally what we do here.
Nonsense. This such good noodles deserves a good gesture back.
Wither, please have a seat. He's such a good kitty. He can't help himself.
Yeah, he seems extremely uncomfortable with the idea that you might wash your dishes.
All right. Fair enough.
Neil, would you perhaps provide a meal for my companions and leave us the room, as is said, as we have important matters to discuss?
He kind of looks around at the table at all. I understand then, I suppose. At least I think I do. Do you require anyone to serve you drinks or anything?
If you would bring a round or two in advance, that would suit us just fine, I think.
I believe we can leave you a bottle.
Perfect.
This one thanks you.
This rice wine is quite palatable.
He will take the dishes from Wither, return to the kitchen where the staff is busy making more stuff. He will return quickly with a bottle of the sake and with bowls for everyone. Dove's is topped off and is more ramen.
Yum.
Everyone else is given some pho.
Oh, they got pho. Oh, shit. Okay.
Just a pho? Or were you just cutting off your words there?
No, it's pho.
It's fun.
I was talking to Zelda.
Oh, I get it.
Not worry, the hard C will come later.
And then, yes, after he has delivered everyone's food and left the bottle with some glasses for the sake, He and the other staff will retire to the kitchen to give you privacy.
I look at the door as it swings behind him. Is it just like a swinging door? Does it close and latch? Does it look like it's soundproof so that or do we have to speak it quietly?
It probably isn't soundproof, but it is definitely not something that would just be, immediately conveying whatever you're discussing out here. It does offer privacy and the ability for you to discuss comfortably whatever it is you want to discuss.
Very well.
So it dampens the conversation.
I trust there's some kitchen din happening in there anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's still, a kitchen. If you've ever worked in a kitchen, you know they're loud as fuck.
One who leans, if you would prefer some modicum more privacy, we could take the corner table. I keep kind of making his voice too deep. We could take the corner table.
This one will follow your lead.
Grab your food stuff then, everyone. And a chair for those who need it.
Yeah, the concept of sitting is alien to me.
Yeah, you just plant yourself at the head of the table because that's where you go.
Well, it suits you since you're kind of
perfect then.
Negotiating, I guess.
Pour myself some sake.
This one would discuss with you planning for further negotiations in the region.
What do you have in mind?
As far as this one understands, the most approachable, the Dragonborn northeast of here, would be an ideal first contact. A good strategy would be to play on their zealous tendency and religious inclinations.
We do have two dragon marked among us, it would seem.
My point exactly.
While I do agree with that, I do want to note that I think the bigger threat right now at this exact moment is that Crimson Lord. I'm not saying that yours is not a valid idea, choice there, but we do have to keep the envoys safe. And if everything and everybody has a price, imagine the price of rare diplomats.
Certainly, but consider our numbers. Far better to have religiously motivated individuals at our backs as we place the Crimson Lord in front of us.
Oh, most definitely we need allies right now. But we need to start also fortifications right away.
Indeed. I think One Who Leans is onto something with this. Allies.
This one believes the Crimson Lords could prove useful. There's value in every faction already installed in this region. The pirates are already equipped with navigable ships and could provide useful in establishing trade all over the continent. The Coin Lords, well, this one doesn't need to explain the value of monetarily inclined people.
It goes without saying.
And the Crimson Lords could be an incredible military asset, especially considering their location at the entrance of this area.
What would you suggest to turn them to our...
This one believes
directives?
That signs of a unifying free territories would provide motivations to the Lord to be, as they say, on the right side of history.
From what I understand it, the Crimson Lord might be himself. Might be a difficult one to sway. we could remove the head of the snake, as it were, and install our own. For if it is personal gain that motivates him, it'll be difficult to get him on board with a larger group. To act for a greater good, as it were.
This could be an approachable strategy. This one does hope, however, and is inclined to believe that the Crimson Lord's gregarious and expansionist nature could provide an angle to our negotiations. He wishes to claim territory in this area. We could provide genuine claim of a unified territory.
Offer him a title?
Yes.
Just to play devil's advocate here, what if he's not interested? I've been thinking, according to the Elder, he's been constantly just taking and taking as far as the Elder knows. Am I not misremembering that?
If we make him a duke or something, do you not think he will, one who leans, do you not think he will want more?
There is also the side of the more allies we bring to that particular discussion table, the less choice the Crimson Lord will have in agreeing with us.
I'm with you there.
I'm more pondering about, again, we were told that he keeps taking, and he's not, as far as the Elder knows, he's not taking for himself. What if he's trying to pay off a debt and he's sort of rushing because he's running out of time?
That's an interesting idea.
It is a possibility.
Personally,
but
I would like
it
to
is
know
conjecture.
I agree. I'm like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate. We can't just assume that one path is the only information we have.
But operating on conjecture doesn't spare little good. I, personally, would not mind holding a fact-finding mission.
To be true, I did notice that the Crimson Lord occupied the one pass that leads straight into the Okami territory.
Indeed. Hence the
And
military.
yet they have not been removed.
Hence the military value.
What if the Okami are control the Crimson Lord from beyond the veil, should we say? Beyond the curtain.
Oh yes, that would be ideal. If we pulled his strings. And I think that's what one who leans is essentially trying to establish.
No, I mean, what if the Okami are the ones pulling the
the
strings of the
Okami.
Crimson Lord?
Hard to say. Again, conjecture.
Then a unified free territory would provide a more stable place in the discussions with the Okami for the Crimson Lord.
That would indeed that would kill two birds with one stone. As Monogra would then be... Fucking shut up! Would then be entreated to us. But again, distant conjecture. We have no idea of that. I think our safest bet, as far as accumulating factions, if we have a rough guess, a poor guess, of a week of time before any reprisal.
All the same,
I would
we need
see...
to start working right away.
Of course, I would see fit to pursue 3 avenues. I think we may have the easiest time with the dragon kin, with our little miracles here. The religiously motivated are so easy, in my experience.
This one would agree.
The second easiest is the financially motivated. So the coin
This
way.
one would also agree.
And about on par. Is the pleasure motivated? I would love to speak with the Eastern Pirates myself. I think we could, very well, have 3 factions at our backs before we even have to deal with this Crimson Lord. Provided a reprisal does not come swiftly and heavily in that time.
And that is why I will leave the political and diplomatic side to you. But I will absolutely need to see that we are defended, no matter
Good
what.
point. One faction. One faction should probably be enough to keep us defended. But to be able to bring the arm of military might to the table, we will need more.
And speaking of diplomats, what of ours? Should we tell them to hold back? Or should we...
I think so.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking as well. We don't want them to be too hasty in getting here.
What do you think, Owl?
This one would require at least an ambassadorial presence to lead negotiations properly.
Someone to defer. To whom to defer. So we don't have to do all the heavy lifting.
As a side note, I may have yet need of your diplomatic skills, One Orleans. We will need fortifications sooner than later, and I am of a mind of seeking the help of our foreign friends in the paths between. At least for some early fortifications, so that we are not caught unprepared should a swift retaliation come.
This one did discuss with them the possibility of shaping habitation. Perhaps we could ask for their assistance.
So do we break apart our diplomats and have some of them hang back while others come?
If we are
To
to get word...
be fair, I'm not very good with the diplomatic side, but we are already acquainted with the celestial dwarves. I could very well deal with them once Han Williams has proposed our idea and needs.
This one believes at least 2 ambassadors are required to establish and maintain direct contact with factions.
Each?
Each.
Good to know. If we are to get word to them, we will need to travel west, back to the portals. I have no problem with that.
It wasn't that far a travel for us, thankfully.
I can. Indeed, I could run myself. Leave you to rest.
Indeed, no matter what we do, it is imperative we secure the portal at the very least.
Well, I and Wither, if you would be so kind to join me, we could take a brief sojourn over to the portal, deliver word,
I
and come
agree.
back.
Yep, we can check on things, if anything.
Speaking of the portal, is anyone else under the impression that maybe this emperor did the same thing we did and came through a portal and there's
Absolutely.
Please, it was
100%.
so obvious.
I'm just making sure.
Completely, yes.
It is a likely possibility.
The locals would not think so, obviously, if they are not aware of the existence of other worlds.
They are also not aware... Sorry.
But once you know what we do know, it is plain as day that this emperor came from another world like we did.
I should imagine so.
It remains informed conjecture.
Yes, there's certainly the possibility that there are many lands, continents, beyond the oceans. But
I'm looking through my notes and trying to find, it's like, how long have the gates been sealed?
What do you mean, what gates?
The world of
The way
doors.
to Yome.
Yeah, the world of the entire thing, like all the doors have been sealed prior to the previous age or something like that. My memory serves. Sorry, my notes apparently just went poof into midair on me.
At the end of the Second Age, by edict of the City Lord, the doorways were sealed and the other realms cut off from each other. That has slowly but surely become less and less true. Yomei itself has never known, at least insofar as anyone here knows, anyone historically knows, has never had any connection or contact with the actual world of doors.
Well, then the follow-up question, just because again my notes went poof on me. And this is also just something I personally don't know. How long is an age, roughly? If there is one time period definition?
There is no set definition.
More by event, right?
Yep.
Yeah, basically event to event, basically.
Okay, so 1,000 years on Yomei, from what the elder told us, doesn't mean it's before or after the Second Age. Okay.
Yep, that could have all happened in the Third Age, as far as you know.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to double check. Okay.
There seem to be many things that the inhabitants of this world are unaware of in regards to the Emperor.
Another point to
Curiously.
consider with these conjectures. If you'll remember our initial debriefing before we went on this mission, there were concerns of of force of darkness taking over other worlds. And the history that we were just given seems to hint that said forces of darkness also established themselves here long ago.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
there was
the Shadow Empire.
There was the vision that we saw as we came to this world. Do any of you recall it? I do remember it being very vivid, but details really escaped me for the most part.
I'm checking my notes right now.
Extremely brief. It is hard to recall.
It's like a dream that's already fading. But yes, I do get the point.
Okay, I've got my notes on that. If they, yeah, quickly just sketched out. I remember seeing some red eyes, a gray skin, and a clawed-like hand holding a world.
Red.
Not much more than that, unfortunately.
I do believe this mission may not be as fresh one as we all thought it to be. We may already be into some big historical events.
Oh, no, of course.
This is a large historical event.
Yes, but we may not be the one to instigate it. It may have been well and long instigated already.
Prophecies. Legends.
Please, prophecies are very good ways to set up the board game the way you like.
No, exactly, yes. They have not been set in motion. Fine, yes. We will make use of these prophecies. To our advantage.
What I'm worried about is, depending on what that vision we had when we showed up meant, who's on the other side of the playing board?
This Emperor is a very curious entity indeed. That it still exists, but no one knows his name.
I'm putting that maybe the Emperor, he might be the other person on the other side of the board, but there is a possibility there's something higher up the food chain that's using him as a piece.
We do already have a representative from the Shadow Empire in our diplomatic team. We have become well acquainted, he and I.
Or at the very least, mentioning that the Emperor has passed, he may be on some being of use of dark magic.
If it is indeed even the same person.
Exactly. If it's the same person, he is controlling from some dark corner using dark magic.
Something He could be
This
simply a
one-
concept by now, or even he could have certainly conjecture wildly. He could even certainly have taken the construct that he defeated and made one to perpetuate his legacy.
Unfortunately, that realm of magic is not one I have particularly studied.
This one would hope that this is indeed not the same person. Or it would most likely have to delegate negotiations.
Well, well, no matter what, I say we be careful. We are not stepping as a new player into a new game. We are stepping as a new player in a game long already on the way.
Good point.
Let's take things one step at a time.
Exactly.
Let's first establish our presence here. We must get people through the gate and establish positions.
Yes. Shall we go and send word? How are you feeling, Mother?
I am feeling very well. I have not in the least bit tired. I could go.
We should be able, with our swiftness, we should be able, you and I, to make it back to the ruins and here before the night is over.
We might arrive a little late, but darkness does not bother me.
Same.
So,
I thrive in it.
So making sure I'm understanding this, you two will go to warn and alert the delegates about what's going on while the three of us stay here in the village?
To let them make an informed decision whether or not they would like to step foot through the portal as well and start building in the ruins. I would recommend it. I would recommend
This
to them
one
to do
would
so.
strongly recommend it as well.
I have no issues. I'm just making sure I understand what's going on.
Bring them out at least. Let them start building, start fortifying, so that way when the Crimson Lord sees fit to drop his heavy hammer on us, they'll be ready. And we will be more able to fortify it with our, undoubtedly, new Dragonkin allies.
And hopefully, said hammer would not come down, and our initial show of force would motivate the Crimson Lord to open discussions.
I hope so. It has been my experience that people who fancy themselves entitled masters to whatever they see take umbrage to being challenged. Though it doesn't seem like that has happened often. This may be baffling to him, that someone would dare step up to them. I hope you are completely right. I hope this took them by surprise enough that they wouldn't think to launch a counterattack for the insult.
This is very true. I would think we could maybe catch them off guard.
This one does have one remaining concern in the region. The lizard folk.
Yes. I have no optimism towards taming them. But if they are, as I suspect, primally, fairly motivated, they could simply be a force to be set upon any incursion.
A natural defense.
More or less.
Since it seems
So
like
to
they have
speak.
repelled everything that's tried to attack them so far.
But if a way exists to direct their fury, perhaps
Yes.
it would be worth investigating.
I would hold that to last.
Yes.
Also, the cannibals, I don't know about them. I've been accused of being a man-eater myself, but never so crudely.
I've never seen you take chunks. Just fluids.
No one's seen anything. Above table. No one's seen anything. Alright?
Sorry.
You haven't seen
I
anything.
smelt it.
Maybe smelled it. You just know that I and and Pell have had ruby red lips coming from around the corner.
You're lucky I did above table. You're lucky I didn't try and do a perception check.
Oh? Oh, am I? Feel free.
I was.
Feel free to
well,
insight me
no,
whenever you wish.
No, I mean at the time. I was meaning at the time you.
At the time, okay.
Yeah.
Smelling the blood, yes.
Zelda.
But it remains. Please insight me whenever you wish. Yes.
Seldov and Wither, in your short expedition to inform the city, could you perhaps ask for a magistrate to provide this one with the authority to establish a sentence for our captives?
Interesting. Yes. If it is not already assumed that we have such authority, then certainly I'll get you a writ or something.
This one thanks you.
Anytime. If you'd like any suggestions, recommendations for them, feel free to tap me. I can be creative.
This one would see them motivated and inclined to serve our purpose.
Yeah.
In such, I would sentence them. Perhaps it is the wrong word. In any case,
Offer them the opportunity?
I would offer them a period of labor,
Thank you.
perhaps until the CAPMonth is established, perhaps longer, upon completion of which they should be released and given back freedom.
Put their big muscles and their dexterous abilities to use for the encampment.
They should also be made aware of the possibility, after release, to remain in service with us, should they desire to do so.
Yes, that is what I had in mind.
I'm most assured that they will wish to do so. They may have their freedom back after their sentence is passed, but they'll certainly wish to stay alive to enjoy said freedom.
Do not be so sure that mine could not be swayed in the meantime.
Oh, yes. While we may be busy, if I were to have some time with them, I could see very fit that they would be quite motivated to stay. I spoke briefly earlier of the distaste that Mr. Tor has for slavery. But I would introduce the idea that not all slavery is unwilling. I have encountered people like this. Several.
The distinction Elder Tor established seemed an exercise in semantics.
It really did, didn't it?
But I saw fit not to comment.
Right. But properly motivated, properly instructed, an individual may find their place in servitude and find a certain personal joy in serving an entity greater than themselves, a master that they hold in high regard, a master that they would give anything for. If we find such a master for our humanoid assets, I think we could have a highly motivated and willing workforce. At the risk of being crude, we could call it a harem.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
An adequate master, whoever that might be, someone with a hand at educating their servants, would do well to ensure that our helpful workforce will want to stay after their sentence is complete.
That is my point. This one believes your methods might differ from its. However, it trusts you.
Thank you.
As long as we don't cause any undue culture shock, we should be fine.
Oh no, I'm sure we're fitting right in.
Is that our next class established? Seldov and Wither will go inform the council?
Yes.
The forward party, yes.
The diplomats.
And I suppose you all shall begin seeking out preparations to head north first, yes?
Correct.
Fantastic.
Well, I'll be waiting here for Seldov's return, but for the most part, I am concerned about this village itself.
I would also suggest that no matter what, we take some time to rest. Some of us are still injured from that last battle. A pointed look overfills me.
Yes, most definitely. I might have taken quite a few bruises in that last battle.
I guess for the sake of not looking so rough, I mean, over dinner, can we be taking a short rest?
Absolutely.
I don't need that doesn't do anything
I'm
for me.
fairly
But,
sure Felemy would appreciate a long rest.
but hey, you are able to roll your hit dice at the very least, so you don't feel so bad.
And soon, I mean, as soon as Seldov and Wither come back and we've kind of done our stuff for the day, we're definitely taking a long rest.
Oh yeah, we're gonna sleep for the night. Even Seldov sleeps.
It's like, I'm not going to roll a hit, one of the dice. I'm listing 1 HP. I'm just going to put it there.
Yeah.
If anything, wouldn't it be considered almost a short rest for me and Seldov, since we're going to be leaving and coming back?
Yeah, we vibed. I don't need to take one. I'd stay out of combat as much as possible. Stay out of direct conflict as much as possible.
Same here.
I made a fucking glass.
Unless,
I don't believe you.
unless my curiosity gets to me.
Don't you lie to me.
Yeah, right.
Hence why I said once. Hence, if my curiosity gets the better of me.
Okay. Or your rage. But yes, I've been untouched
curiosity
so far.
usually leads to rage a lot of times.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm fine.
So while you've been sitting here discussing and eating, you absolutely all can take a short rest. I would recommend doing so if you want to heal. Short rests also give warlocks back their spells.
I don't think I had used one because I was waiting for a big bad to show up, so I was like, okay, save my higher spells for that. But I also only had 1 HP loss, so I'm just putting it back. I can't roll any lower than a 1.
Oh.
Go ahead, take a short rest.
Oh shit, my fanged bite. Well, I didn't use my fanged bite as a weapon. I just had a drink. Okay.
So
this one thanks all of you for meeting with it.
Anytime. You are, if you don't mind me saying, the most impressively loquacious mushroom I've ever met.
This one appreciates the compliment. You are quite affable yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I don't mean to be interrupting.
I try.
But, above table, how do I do this for the short rest? Do I just
on your character sheet over on the left-hand side below your avatar? There's that bed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've already.
If you mouse over it, it should expand, and there will be 2 options. One is a long rest. One is a short rest.
Yep.
So we just did the short rest, and that's it.
And then you do the roll, right?
And then if you're doing the short rest, which all of you are, and you want to spend hit points to heal yourself, then it will, in the window, show you like that you have hit die and you can use them and all that, and then you hit complete.
Rest. If that did anything
And
for
then
me.
you just do rest, basically.
Thank you,
that is how
Abby.
you take a short rest. Yeah.
I have actually very little makeup on right now, just the lip. I just have the lip gloss. I guess I do still kind of have some
Now that casks
fucking
are
under
established,
eye eyeliner
this
lasts
one
just
will take his
forever.
leave. It
Like I
has
try to watch it off, but
a
there's
few
always
rituals to perform.
for days afterwards. There's a little bit of darkness
Also, if
underneath.
you're interested, one who leans, there is the ritual site north of town that they would be willing to show you. It is a
Come
short
again?
walk. The ritual site you asked earlier about, like druid circles or ritual sites, and they mentioned there was one north of town.
That was where I wanted to go. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. They will be willing to guide you there.
I do know that I have plans to ask Chibi Susuke, when we aren't dealing with all the politics, about what they meant when that's like the dragons of the drums of the empire, the dragons are standing with us. What can be told so that I'm not walking into this mess without as much knowledge as I can get?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have a conversation with your familiar later about that. It won't be this session; it'll be next time for sure.
Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt. It's like I need to know this stuff.
No, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
we got stuff else that's not me.
Yeah, especially if we're using that as leverage.
And all right, so
I'm
let's.
sorry.
What's up? What's
One
up?
last thing. I do want to kind of do this in character with Sail Dove. Sail Dove, do you think Aiden would need to join us on our journey?
Your new friend?
Yes.
I see no reason why not. He won't slow us down, will he?
Nah, he can keep up.
Well, certainly.
I figured it might be a good thing for our new diplomats to meet him, I guess.
That would be a good idea. And in fact, we could begin to lay out some of one who leans' proposition regarding what little we know about the Dragon Marked to them. Perhaps afford them the opportunity to seek out more information on it.
And they may
once they arrive in
know
town.
more about this as well.
Here, it's a long shot, but we could ask.
I mean, more in general than anything. They might have some information, but that is just more.
Yes, absolutely. Bring it.
Assuming, I guess.
He seems quite a charming creature.
He has taken a liking to you, I will say that.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I did unshackle him, of course. It should only be expected, but...
and he did
I'm glad he's
appreciate
grateful.
it.
Oh, good. I'm ready to leave when you are.
No time like the present. I will go get Aiden and we can be off, I guess.
I'll leave a few silvers on the table. As a tip, at least. And let's go. See you shortly, Felomir, Yozora, little creature.
Well then, see you soon.
Damn it, I think I keep giving Zelda Glorious's voice. I need to thin it out some more, make it a little bit more sinister. It's my default sultry voice.
And with that, Wither kind of goes into his own mind and somewhat calls for Aiden to reappear, to fly over to him, away from. I can never remember your friend Felomir.
Bohan?
Bohan, yes. God dang it! I'll get it one of these times.
That's okay.
Well, assuming I'm going to have my conversation with Chibi Susuke here sooner rather than later, it's like my option would be going to the library. Or wherever counts as library and seeing if I can find some books.
Okay.
Nice. Good.
All right, so we will pause there, kind of call it a little bit. but we will discuss going forward where we're gonna go, what we're gonna do. So, one who leans is gonna go to this ritual site. Dove and Wither, you were going to. What were you gonna go to? You were gonna go do what now?
To the west, to the
to the
portal,
west, to
and
the
return through the way to where our envoy is chilling with the
Okay.
celestial dwarves. Deliver word to them. Lay out some of the plans that one who leans has proposed. Give them the information that we have received from Mr. Tor, from Magistrate Tor, and tell them, hey, fun, come on. Start unrolling your sleeping bags. Let's go. Let's get set up. We got some ruins for you. Real nice. Little fixer-upper, but, you got dwarves for that.
Nice open air. Clean air to breathe, at least.
Okay, cool. So Dove and Wither will be returning to visit and meet with the delegates and give them some information. Philomene, what were you doing? What did you want to do?
And also to propose some additional authorities regarding legal enforcement.
Maybe even funds as well.
I do believe that for the time being,
That would be a good idea.
our side of the party was just staying in town, but I blanked out on a little bit of that.
I think it's just one who leads who wanted to leave for a little bit to go to the ritual place.
Yeah, so that would leave me and Yozora to stay in town until Seldov and Withers return.
Unless, of course, these two Fey individuals would have any interest in a druid circle. Or ritual site.
I mean, I'm less inclined toward druids, but who knows about Yozora?
Okay.
Yuzora could come and I'll teach you some druidic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would definitely get Yozora's attention. It's like possibility of learning another language.
Then Philomene will likely accompany them because she's sworn to protect the rest of the party. So, yeah.
Yeah, learning about how to speak some druidic might save. Well, never know what you can learn with another language.
Exactly.
All right. So what will Philomene be doing?
Well, like I said, I'm mostly sticking around with Yozora and one who leads. So if they are leaving for the druidic circle, Philomene will be accompanying as a bodyguard detail.
Okay, so you're gonna go with him. All right.
He's got a 9 speed of 30. Nice.
Sounds like a plan. And then Yozora wanted to have a conversation with Chibiusuke and then go to some sort of book repository that is local, by all means.
Apparently, I'm being lured by the temptation of knowledge of a new language. So.
Okay, so you're gonna go as well. All right.
You could do it after.
And I can dash.
Well, that was a thing, like you were going to teach it there, so I was going to assume. But if you'll teach me if you'll teach Yozora when you come back, sure, I'll stick around and find a something to read, local history, something.
I mean, druidic is more something you show than you teach, because it's like hidden messages in the sinews of trees.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, it's the thieves' cant of nature.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of like how, depending on the interpretation, how Fae can send messages to their warlocks.
Okay. Well,
that response is.
I believe that's the plans.
All right. So extrapolating further from there, the party's actual interests in the local area. Are there any places that you want to go? We can, in fact, look back at the world map.
As far as I understand it, first stop will be heading up to the north to look for any settlements among the Dragonkin. And
so you guys want to cross north into this area outside of the Crimson Lord's reach and see if you can make contact with these zealots that follow dragons?
Yes. We could pull a fucking bonehead-ass move and try and simultaneously negotiate with them as well as the Coin Road. but I think we should focus our efforts on the Dragon
But
King
to
first.
say, are we genuinely don't have to split the party into 2 separate campaigns right
Yeah,
now?
right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm inclined not to
Dragon
do
King.
that.
Yeah, definitely not.
You don't split the party across a map. You don't across an adventure,
Yeah,
especially
we
not
could
on.
we can take
could
this.
send
We can take this brief.
because while we do that, we could send delegates to the Coin Lords.
That's true. Since we
True.
we are already having Magistrate Tor put the feelers out and say, hey, listen, there's some people who are going to want to talk to you, to any surrounding amiable villages. Yeah, he's already doing that at least. But
Right.
as far as like our delegates, do we get some of our folks to come? If there's anyone who's going to go talk to the Coin Lords, we got to send Mac.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I know that asshole.
Yeah,
babbles.
absolutely.
After he fleeced me so
Yes.
badly.
Oh yeah, Mech
Yes.
and Dove have a long-standing relationship with each other, and it's
Yeah, but
there's some professional respect.
yeah, Mo,
He's an asshole.
as far as the party is concerned,
Mhm.
it's going to be north to the dragon.
I'm down. I mean, I'm up.
That sounds good.
I may
into it.
may have Wither actually above table. I may have Wither inquire about Mech a little bit from you if you're willing to part with that.
Oh, certainly. I think. Yeah, I think in our travel back to the well, first off, as we travel back, I'm going to race you. I'm like, you're pretty swift, aren't you? Come. Let's see who can make
Don't
it there
forget,
first.
I've got my zoomies.
I have bonus action dash. And 35 speed of movement. 35 movement speed. And 35 climb speed. Spider walk. I'm pretty quick.
Fair enough.
But I think if I start to lose you, I'll be like, oh no. But we'll fall back and I'll definitely gossip with you. If you bring up like how you got taken for a ride, then I'll be like, oh, you fool. You didn't play games of chance with Mac? Oh, you did. Oh, you poor thing.
And if anything, you can bring up what happened after the first battle that we had in Yome. Remember the split that you so humbly noticed?
Wait, the first battle? When we first got here?
Yeah, the one with where you let free the one little hostage.
Oh yeah, yes.
And then there was the body of corpses that I investigated.
Well, what about him?
How I split the goods between everybody.
Oh. I'm not worried about that. I'm hardly worried about that. Yeah, it didn't even. Gone. I don't care. That doesn't care.
Well, at the time you had mentioned.
I took notice. I was like,
you won't forget it.
oh, I see. I just see that you're. I will probably bring up that you're maybe a little bit more of a sly devil than I gave you credit for.
There was a specific reason why he did it that way.
Okay.
And with the information that you will receive on our way there, you might understand a little bit more.
All right. Yeah, I suppose we'll unpack that in the next session.
Yeah, we can wait that for next session.
I'd love to keep going just all night. I got nothing but time.
I would go all weekend.
Right? I do have 2 other campaigns to do, but
I would go till next session.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right.
I'm into
So
it. I love this.
then we will prepare for that possible situation where you head north, seek out these dragon zealots. I will see about perhaps preparing some other things as well, just in case. But yeah,
It's a long way.
Just in case.
I will focus on that, and that is I guess where you as a group, you individually, will have your first foray as actual diplomats and envoys representing a governmental power. So we'll have a little bit before we get to that. Obviously, we'll get you guys back to the ruins, get you guys back to the delegates, get that all caught up, get that set, get you back to the village and through this ritual site, get all that done and set up, and then go from there. And we will have probably your first actual long rest upon Yome.
All right.
That would be good.
Sounds lovely.
Sounds good.
Sounds fun. I just checked my schedule. As of this exact moment, I have next Friday off still.
All right, that's cool. However, we will not be meeting next
That is
Friday.
our
Right.
off,
Next
yeah.
Friday's the bye week. Sorry.
So we have
I
2
always
weeks. We have 2 weeks to get this shit sorted and plan some stuff out.
I just mentally checked, just like, okay, it's always Fridays, and then when the bye week comes, it comes.
But yeah, so the 28th, we will not be meeting next week, but May 5th, Cinco de Mayo itself, is our next planned session. If
Hell
you
yeah.
want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo instead, by all means, let me know.
¿Por qué no los dos?
I'll be here. Don't worry.
I'll celebrate it here.
Oh, this is my celebration.
Fair.
Dude, this was so good. What a good session. I love politicking.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully I wasn't encroaching on your territory too much. Dove is interested in getting his finger in this pie.
That was perfect.
Good,
I kept wanting to contribute, but I'm over here just slamming down the notes. So it's like, don't forget this. Need to know this. Need to know this. Need to know this.
Diplomacy is definitely your specialty. Manipulation. Dove wants a hand in it.
My mind is always thinking...
tomato, but
right? Yeah. Good.
I wanted to help out as much as I could with decent questions, and I already had in the back of my mind is I'm going to be going through this VOD with a fine-tooth comb and listening to what I would catch, and I'll probably have the whole map kind of figured out by then, just to kind of get it set up. That's probably, like I said, something for the off week for me to kind of go looking through. So,
oh, dude, you can't believe just how enthused I am at the idea. Because as soon as Mog exposed all the factions in the region, I was like, okay, so now this is gonna be my church, here's my bank, here's my ports, and here's my army.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of of the same mind. We want to pull them all together. We want to Age of Empires this shit. We want to this party, right? We want to be the spine of the ribcage of the dragonkin, the flesh of the pirates. We're building this body of power here.
and
we're the central nervous system of them.
Skeleton, so
it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure.
Dove is very interested in having all of these factions, all of these assets at his disposal. Yes.
That's gonna be a lot of politics, and it's gonna be super fun.
Wither's just interested in being continuously on the road, honestly.
Yeah, that's why it's nice to have you taking this run with me. The two fast boys.
It's all super fun. We get our encounters. We get nice little ambush along the way, and then go sit at the discussion table. And oh my god, this campaign's so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I've already, like I said at the beginning of the session, I relished in the combat, but I am learning to love and appreciate the political and the world building as well.
That's right.
Right, isn't it fun? And then finally, my diplomat gets to diplomate.
Right.
Yep.
you have diplomat.
Edged yourself on not being here for the first one.
But hey, like I said, when properly motivated, you learn to love it.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
I've been reading a certain author's scripts for my my autoerotica lately, and there's definitely been a theme to them, and it's showing. I'm kind of wearing it on my sleeve in this session.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Rosen Lance, a very good author on the subreddits, specializes in harem stuff, and I'm like, oh, interesting. So yeah, there's a lot to be pulled from that.
From what you've been showing of your character lately, it fits the theme so far.
Yeah.
So, run with it is what I'll say.
Yeah. Ah, I love it. Always growing as a character, letting these inspirations flow through you in your acting.
By the way, I'm sorry I missed your storytelling.
Oh, my reading?
On Wednesday. It was super busy at work. I was gonna lurk, but I just couldn't. It was just too chaotic, unfortunately.
No problem. Hey, there's always the VOD. If you want to see me be theatrical and share a book from my childhood, it's very important to a young queer kid.
I had never actually read that book or heard it read, so
It's a nice
I
one.
may just go back to it.
Yeah, worth a shot. Yeah, it's from 1982, and it probably didn't necessarily intend to have the allegorical relevance to me that that I got from it, but I got it nonetheless. So good. But yes, wonderful. Speaking of the dramatic reading, I did that as part of donation incentive for CAPMonth, for Child Abuse Prevention Month, that myself and a bunch of other streamers are. We are part of the SACA team, the Streamers Against Child Abuse team, raising money for Ozone House, a Michigan local charity that TKK is the Combat King, is specifically raising money for, to get some eyes and some assistance to it, as their mission is wonderful. We should go ahead and raid another member of this team. And of course, another member of our other two campaigns for this weekend. Mondo Mole number 3. Sadly, they'll not be available for Level Heads or Storm Riders because they have to fucking work. But for now, they are streaming something. What are they streaming? What are they streaming? Let me see. Retro. Okay. Oh, Duke 3D. Streaming Duke Nukem. Fabulous. For the kids. The most appropriate. I mean, hey, look, it doesn't get much more inappropriate for the kids than me. So, I think we're doing okay. So let's go ahead and establish that raid. Let's establish diplomatic connections with Mondo Mole number 3. And send a little raid over to them. Is my bot running? It's not. Still. Let's send them a little bit of love.
Will that
That's
help?
the one. Thank you. Go ahead and copy pasta that. And ride the meat train. Give him a slappy doogasm. If you don't have a slappy doogasm, why? I'm gonna cry. But give him any gasm you got, because, hey, what's a little gasm between friends after all? Yeah, come back in 2 weeks for a more Friday session of this here, of Jumps of the Empire, and I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I'd be happy to kind of go over like how we should probably go about our travel. Like we might want to touch base on what we intend to do next session, so we can be prepared for whatever Ironmark throws at us. Because we are still technically splitting the party right now. It's not for long term, but we are doing that. We might just be running out for some cigarettes, but hey, sometimes you don't come back.
And who knows what we might run into on our way there.
Right.
Dad?
Especially if we're having our
a conversation.
If we're having our race, if anything.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So, yes. I'll see you all next time. Until then, stay easy.
See you all around.
Bye.
See you later.